dragon sparrow saber suddenly sucked the surrounding air, creating a silver-cold edge over 100 meters long in the sky, reaching Yang Jun almost instantly. Being the one to initiate the challenge, Xia Hong was certainly not going to be polite. His fierce blade rushed upward directly towards Yang Jun's body. However, injuring Yang Jun was not that simple. The impact of weapon length on both sides in combat is self-evident. Longer means stronger. This is not just an empty phrase. Xia Hong's dragon sparrow is a Yi blade, with a total length of 1.7 meters, a grip of only 20 centimeters, and a blade length of 1.5 meters. It's the longest type among the 4 types of Xia blades, and over the years, the weapon he used the most besides cold blood is the dragon sparrow. The Yi blade, with its length of 1.7 meters, is already much longer than most weapons, but compared to Yang Jun's silver spear, which is about 10 feet long, it's undoubtedly still shorter. So Yang Jun didn't make any big moves. He merely swept the spear with one hand, easily deflecting Xia Hong's silver blade edge. Bang! 13 Jin. 11 Jin. Upon their initial clash, they both slightly frowned, instantly confirming each other's basic strength in their hearts. Just as the strength showed, Xia Hong did not shake Yang Jun. On the contrary, his body was thrown back several meters. Brother Xia, if this is all you have, I'm afraid it will be disappointing. This was telling him not to waste time and show some real skills. All right. Xia Hong instantly understood the implication behind Yang Jun's words. After a gleam of excitement flashed in his eyes, 3 vertical blood-colored cloud patterns appeared on his brow. After shaking off the soreness caused by the recent collision, a glow appeared on his body, turning into auroral light as he charged at Yang Jun again. Clap! The moment Xia Hong's brow showed the blood-colored cloud pattern, Yang Jun's expression became more serious. He switched from holding the spear with one hand to both hands, and as Xia Hong's blade came slashing, he raised his hands and then slammed down to chop with the spear. Yang Jun's grasp of combat timing was no less than Xia Hong's. The moment his spear chopped downward was precisely when it struck the horizontally slashing blade. Boom! The sword and spear clashed fiercely, exploding in midair. Behind both of them appeared 2,000-meter bone appearance shadows, one gold and one dark red, also holding blades and spears, colliding intensely. Rumble! The snowflakes in the sky for miles around froze and melted instantly. The surrounding airflow rushed into the area of weapon contact between the two, forming a terrifying shockwave that then spread violently in all directions. 19 Jin, no more than that. After the second engagement, Yang Jun's hands holding the spear trembled violently, and a trace of astonishment finally appeared in his pupils. He dared not be careless anymore. His skeletal energy suddenly erupted, and the 1,000-meter bone appearance shadow behind him quickly added layers of flesh and veins, appearing much more solid than Xia Hong's. Bam! Finally, Yang Jun also exerted all his strength. He tightly gripped his long spear, swinging it swiftly. Chop, pop, pierce, point. Sometimes like a silver snake dancing, sometimes like a white dragon roaring in anger, he suddenly created a cold-edge space impenetrable by anything around his body with the spear. I actually have less basic strength than this Xia Hong. This is troublesome. Brother Yang, if this is all you've got, then I'll gladly take the title of the first in 9 towns. Even if Yang Jun didn't say these words, Xia Hong could imagine what he was thinking just from his increasingly troubled expression. As I expected, Yang Jun was hiding part of his strength. His true strength should be around 16 Jin. With the use of power techniques and weapon proficiency, he could display nearly 20 Jin of strength. This level of strength is still not enough to fight me. By the end of April, when he killed 3 grandmasters without using martial arts skills, his strength could burst up to above 19 Jin. Not reaching the bone-tempering critical point in Xianyang level, conventionally speaking, without breaking through cultivation, basic strength won't increase. Even though Xia Hong cultivated Mayan Town's 12 blood scripture skills, it only enhanced the speed of absorbing medicinal power, so his basic strength has only slightly increased to 11 Jin now. But 11 Jin is already enough. The 5% increase from the Holy Pattern bloodline, and 3% from Transformation Realm Long Fist, these alone are enough to boost my strength above 19 Jin. If the Transformation Realm Long Fist is combined with martial arts skills, the latter can increase the boost by another 2%. Holding the dragon sparrow saber, Xia Hong relentlessly attacked Yang Jun from various dead angles. If the long spear showed even a slight flaw, a blade light would immediately pierce through. Meanwhile, his left eye glanced sharply, closely observing Yang Zhen's body for any energy movement, which he could detect at once. Lord Yang Zhen, is he being suppressed? How is that possible? Hasn't Lord Yang Zhen been on the defensive all this time? Even though Xia Hong's blade is very long compared to Lord Yang Zhen's spear, it seems still lacking, right? Now the long weapon is on the defensive, is there any argument needed? Lord Yang Zhen can't even move his feet, it's clear he is being suppressed. If anyone dares spread rumors again, I'll skin them alive. You? The area where Xia Hong and Yang Fa were fighting was only more than 300 meters above the ground. This distance would allow someone at the earth-digging realm to see clearly with a bit of effort, not to mention the over 10,000 cold resistance level in South City. The scene in the sky at this moment was Xia Hong, holding the dragon sparrow saber, continuously attacking Yang Zhen from various dead angles, while Yang Zhen was forced to the original place, constantly waving his spear to block and parry. Occasionally, the sharp sound of a blade slicing through flesh could be heard. The outcome might be uncertain, but from this current scene, it's not hard to see who has the upper hand. Chapter 1204, Chapter 405, Taking the Fall, First Place Contention, Playing Dirty After Losing, Frustration Part 4. Among the crowd, there were quite a few from cold resistance level in Beishuo Town. Even though they saw Yang Zhen indeed being passively beaten, they were unwilling to admit that the Lord had fallen into disadvantage, and even drew their weapons to threaten those who were speaking out. Village people, when faced with town-city people, naturally felt inferior, and in such situations, they dared not voice their anger, only clenching their fists and continuing to look up at the sky, inwardly wishing fervently for Yang Zhen to be defeated soon. Compared to the 10,000-plus cold resistance level in South City, the 11 Xianyang level powerhouses of the 6 towns appeared much calmer. Even Yang Fa, seeing his brother Yang Zhen indeed suppressed, had little ripple in his eyes. The strength of Xia Hong is indeed terrifying. Nearly 20 Zhen, solely in terms of strength, the title of the first in 9 towns is truly well-deserved. The key is, looking at the solidness of his bone appearance shadow, he's just in early-stage Xianyang cultivation. Once he breaks through, there would truly be no one in 9 towns able to handle him. Bang! Brother Yang is about to get serious. The loud noise came. Qin Feng's words instantly interrupted the discussions of the crowd. The gaze of the 11 people focused intently into the air. The best defense is an offense. This saying is understood by those who have experienced life-and-death battles, and when 2 sides clash, if one side remains in a defensive posture, they are bound to reveal a flaw sooner or later. And for the people of Ice Abyss, life-and-death battles were basically the norm. This is also why the 10,000-plus cold resistance level of South City judged from the scene in the sky that Yang Zhen was at a disadvantage. Even a well-planned strategy will eventually have a flaw. The situation Yang Zhen faced right now fully explained these 6 words. His continuous defensive stance finally revealed a flaw. After blocking a saber strike from Xia Hong above his head, showing signs of slight fatigue from prolonged blocking, he didn't have time to continue parrying with the spear. How would Xia Hong let such a God-given opportunity slip by? Instead of withdrawing his saber as before, he pressed down hard with both hands, bending Yang Zhen's body. The dragon sparrow saber encircling the long spear suddenly started to pull back in an extremely slow motion. Yes, it was a very slow pullback. From the saber blade running across the shaft of Yang Zhen's spear without even a single spark, one could see just how slow Xia Hong's pullback motion was. The pullback motion was slow, but the force Xia Hong applied on the saber blade showed no sign of weakening. Clang! The moment the blade was pulled back, separating from the spear shaft, Xia Hong kicked violently with both legs in the air. The fully retracted dragon sparrow saber suddenly thrust forward, heading straight for Yang Zhen's left chest like a bolt of lightning. Seeing the saber point stabbing towards his chest, sensing the power Xia Hong unleashed this time more terrifying than before, Yang Zhen's pupils contracted abruptly. Whoosh! Xia Hong's proficiency with weapons far exceeded normal imagination. He could even confidently say, even if Yang Zhen in front of him, who was immersed in spear techniques for years, he need not compare with him. This is why, until now, though his displayed strength was clearly on par with Yang Zhen, he could suppress Yang Zhen the entire time in battle. The reason lay in his deep understanding of the long spear. From when Yang Jun blocked the saber above his head, Xia Hong had already discerned his wrist movements beginning to deform. Yang Jun was showing signs of fatigue. So at the moment he pulled the dragon sparrow saber encircling the long spear, Xia Hong had already begun to accumulate power simultaneously in his hands, legs, and lower waist. The 1.5-meter blade length of the dragon sparrow saber gave him ample time. Pull back thrust, 2 motions completed in one go. It's the yin-yang reverse blade skill from the martial arts pavilion. Yin-yang reverse blade skill, in its early stage, only requires learning a single withdrawing saber move. Prior to the transformation realm, it's all about using gentle strength to fend off enemies. Fully mastered, it can suppress, defend, reduce strength. Only when mastered to the transformation realm, one can accumulate full force in a very brief pullback. The subsequent thrust is the essence of this blade skill, the yin-yang reverse blade. This blade skill in itself is difficult to master, coupled with the extremely monotonous practice process. Hardly anyone learns it. It's been left to gather dust in the martial arts pavilion, yet the Lord has mastered it to the transformation realm. Are you stupid? The martial arts skills in the martial arts pavilion, most of them are the Lord's own creations. Does he even need to practice them? Is this blade skill truly that powerful? Xianyang level powerhouses can use it to confront enemies. No way, this time going back to Xia City. I have to practice it immediately. When Xia Hong pulled back the dragon sparrow saber, a large group of people who regularly practiced blade skills beside the ministry building in the Great Xia recognized at a glance that he was using the extremely obscure yin-yang reverse blade skill from the martial arts pavilion. Unfortunately, their voices at this moment were destined not to create much of a ripple. Everyone's focus was intensely gathered on Yang Jun. The 11 Xianyang level individuals, especially Shang Yuanyang and Qin Feng, clearly sensed the horror of Xia Hong's attack. Both their expressions turned extremely solemn. Deep within their pupils a deep caution surfaced. Hiss. Ultimately, Xia Hong's dragon sparrow saber pierced into Yang Jun's left chest. Basic strength of 11 Jun, holy pattern with a 50% amplification. With transformation realm long fist and cultivation skill reverse blade techniques 50% amplification. My basic strength directly doubled to a towering 22 Jun. What do you use to fight against me? As Xia Hong looked at the dragon sparrow saber piercing through Yang Jun's left chest heart, a cold smile slowly appeared at the corner of his mouth. Unfortunately, in the next moment, that smile became completely frozen on his face. Swoosh! Because right in front of him, Yang Jun with a bang disappeared directly. An afterimage, what he just pierced was actually Yang Jun's afterimage. Chapter 1205. Chapter 405. Taking the fall, battle for supremacy, playing dirty when outmatched, burning with anger, part 5. But what is that incredibly clear penetrating sensation? Who? The hair on Xia Hong's back stood on end instantly. He didn't even turn around, knowing Yang Jun had already appeared behind him. Moreover, the tip of Yang Jun's spear was already pressed against his spine. Is it teleportation? No, teleportation wouldn't leave an afterimage. It must be that the speed is too fast. I didn't even perceive it, and yet Yang Jun still reserved such a trick. SSS. Countless thoughts flashed through Xia Hong's mind, but this maneuver by Yang Jun, left until now, clearly aimed for a kill. He didn't even have time to turn his head when the long spear broke through his spine directly. A point of icy light abruptly gathered at the center of his spine. Near 20 Jun of colossal strength crushed down from behind like Mount Tai, and Xia Hong's body instantly flew forward hundreds of meters. The key point was that during his forward flight, Yang Jun's silver spear tip never left his spine. Yang Jun's spear was so powerful that thousands of silver rays burst forth, instantly covering both of them, preventing those below from seeing inside. The victory is decided. Yang Fa excitedly couldn't wait to speak up first. Before the silver rays burst, he clearly saw Xia Hong's spine break open. Inside, the pale bones were clearly visible, plus his body was pinned by the spear. Xia Hong had no chance of turning the tables. Once the silver rays dissipated, his brother's spear would have penetrated Xia Hong's body. The strongest in 9 towns could only be. Something's wrong, look at the saber in Xia Hong's hand. Qin Feng was the first to notice something amiss, his eyes slightly narrowing, and without waiting for the silver rays in the sky to completely dissipate, he shouted immediately. Upon hearing, 10 people instantly looked up. At that moment, the silver rays in the sky completely dispersed too. The excitement on Yang Fa's face froze instantly after seeing the real situation within the silver rays. Yang Zhen's spear hadn't penetrated Xia Hong's body as he thought, but still pressed against Xia Hong's spine. Not only did it not penetrate, but even Xia Hong's bones hadn't been broken. On the contrary, the dragon sparrow saber originally in Xia Hong's hand had penetrated Yang Zhen's abdomen at this moment, slanting upwards and exiting his back. Poof! Dark red bones, you! A mouthful of reverse blood sprayed out from Yang Zhen, his face full of shock and dread. His shock wasn't from the dragon sparrow saber now lodged in his abdomen, but the high-strength bones when he attempted to penetrate Xia Hong's body. Nearly 20 Gen of force couldn't even crack Xia Hong's bones. Dark red above the golden bones, there's an even higher level bone talent. This thought flashed in Yang Zhen's mind, and an extremely dangerous sensation emerged from his heart. He suddenly looked up to find Xia Hong had rushed to his front, not only pulling the dragon sparrow saber out of his abdomen, but his left eye also exploded with a burst of strong light directed at him. Bam! Xia Hong already pulled the dragon sparrow saber from his abdomen, their distance implying Yang Zhen dared not hesitate. He unleashed an identical terrifying speed and disappeared directly. Cough! Holding the dragon sparrow saber, Xia Hong coughed a mouthful of blood, looked up at the fleeing Yang Zhen, eyes flashing with deep apprehension. Almost capsized in the ditch, really can't underestimate others. Despite the apprehension, upon seeing Yang Zhen not only had abdominal wounds but also a bleeding wound in his left chest, Xia Hong's eyes immediately revealed a conjecture. Whoosh! His left eye again burst with a strong light, directly targeting Yang Zhen. Because of the sufficient distance, Yang Zhen didn't exhibit teleportation-like speed this time, choosing to dodge physically. His body did dodge, but Xia Hong stuck close. Clank! The dragon sparrow saber swiftly sliced across his neck, Yang Zhen's spear horizontally blocked in midair, and upon their clash, his expression changed instantly. Brother Yang, seems your injury is more severe than mine. Xia Hong, understanding Yang Zhen's change of face, smirked coldly. Post-injury, strength does diminish, especially when both injuries involve their bones. Bones are indeed the power source at the Xianyang level. Following the recent clash, he can distinctly sense Yang Zhen's basic strength had dropped to 13 Zhen, whereas his still explodes at 16 Zhen. Let me guess, the speed you burst out just now must come at a price, isn't it injured as a price? Xia Hong's words made Yang Zhen's face increasingly sullen. One engagement, yet he sees through his reliance. Xia Hong's combat talent and instinctual acuity are chillingly high. Anyone with these two abilities is already troublesome. Critical that his aptitude is so defiant. Trouble? Beishuo will have major trouble ahead. Who? Xia Hong advanced again, this time not with slashes but fusing human and blade with a sudden surge, the dragon sparrow saber in his hand seemingly transforming into a silver spear, darting towards Yang Zhen's face instantly. Rapid lightning spear technique. During the late April Battle of Bashang, when Xia Hong ambushed the three masters, he utilized this spear technique of his own creation. Using the dragon sparrow saber as a spear, a common occurrence for him, so gripping this saber, he now resembled a spearman more than Yang Zhen. The spear struck, Yang Zhen likewise blocked with his spear, yet unlike before, this time he couldn't precisely seize Xia Hong's thrust timing, so his body retreated while sweeping ahead, attempting to repel Xia Hong this way. This method indeed worked. Bam! Xia Hong's dragon sparrow saber was struck by him, halted over 2 meters away. Yet as he stopped, Xia Hong suddenly raised his head. Whoosh! Yang Zhen hadn't truly witnessed what strength lay in Xia Hong's left eye light, but intuitively understood it was serious trouble if hit. Thus, gritting his teeth with no choice, his body vanished directly. To evade it, he again burst forth with teleportation-like speed. This time, Xia Hong wasn't as bewildered as before. He seemed to discern Yang Zhen's disappearance origin, abruptly turned his gaze to the flank, then sprang over there. Release! But at this moment, Yuan Dao's voice suddenly came from below. Xia Hong, originally rushing towards Yang Zhen, glanced down below, and his expression instantly darkened. Taking advantage of everyone's focus above, Qin Feng and Shang Yang quietly headed towards the ministry building. In a flash, they actually captured Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao. Murong Chui Zaihu Zhang Xiang Fuai, they didn't even react. Lord Xia Hong, even as strong as Great Xia is but one town, neither in troops nor in Xianyang level strongmen can it compare to our 6 towns. Yang admits your strength is indeed formidable, but you aren't yet powerful enough to wreak havoc on the southern slope of Mo Mountain at will. Since you admitted the 3 towns' chambers people were killed under orders today, you must give us a resolution. Yang Zhen's eerie voice echoed, leaving Xia Hong's expression furious to the extreme. Chapter 1206, Chapter 406, Great Xia's True Strength, Intimidation and Coercion, Post-War Reckoning. The entire Hongmen city was instantly plunged into a deadly silence. Before the outcome was decided, the cold resistance-level crowd in the South City was chatting enthusiastically, speculating on who would win or lose. But once the result was clear, no one dared to speak. Everyone had clearly seen the battle between the 2 figures in the sky. The Beishuo Lord Yang Zhen was defeated. How is that possible? The Lord was defeated. How could the Lord possibly lose? Over 10,000 people in the South City all looked up at Xia Hong, their faces full of shock. Some cold resistance-level individuals from Beishuo had dilated pupils and horrified expressions. A few even started trembling, muttering, "Impossible," clearly unable to accept Yang Zhen's defeat. Before everyone could recover from their disbelief, the situation in the sky changed dramatically again. No one expected Qin Feng and Shang Yang to act so unruly, attacking Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao, the 2 cold resistance levels. They're not planning to concede. Before Xia Hong showed up, the 6 towns had already lost 1 match. With Yang Zhen losing to Xia Hong, that's the 2nd loss for the 6 towns. If they don't do something, the 6 towns will be a complete laughingstock today. Attacking 2 cold resistance levels, isn't that a bit excessive? Excessive. As long as they gain some advantage, it's fine. A great Xia minister, Xia Hong's brother, and a director of the military department in charge of the army, Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao, are currently the 2 most talented in Great Xia, rumored to have top-grade battle body qualifications, and are the future Xianyang level of Great Xia. Qin Feng and Shang Yang, they really are ruthless. Capturing the 2, what's the point? At most, it's just venting their frustration. Didn't you hear what Yang Zhen just said? No matter how strong Great Xia is, it's just 1 town. Xia Hong isn't strong enough to act recklessly on the Mo South Slope. They plan to use the strength of the 6 towns to completely break relations with Great Xia. Will Lord Xia Hong compromise? Very likely. Losing strength is not important, but don't lose face and dignity as well. Do you think the disgrace the 6 towns has suffered today is not enough? Acting against our own is crossing the line. Can you bear the consequences? Xia Hong did not answer Yang Zhen's question or look at the controlled Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao. Instead, he looked directly at Qin Feng, Shang Yang, and the other 10 Xianyang level, his tone slow and grave, culminating in an ominous inquiry about bearing the consequences. Everyone could hear the threat in Xia Hong's tone. Even Qin Feng and Shang Yang, who had acted, and the other 10 Xianyang level who hadn't, had their expressions slightly stiffen. The Shangyuan family of Jin Mountain, the Qin and Yi families of Wuchuan, the Yang family of Beishuo, the Duan family of Chui Mountain, the Cao family of Yonk, the Long family of Dragon Valley. Out of the 7, the Shangyuan family has the most descendants, currently with 7 generations alive, followed by the Qin family with 6 generations. The other 5 have at least 4 generations together. Great Xia's rise has only been 10 years. How many relatives do you think I have for you to hunt down? As Xia Hong asked the last question, not only was his tone sinister, he even inadvertently glanced at the people in South City, the implication clear. Among the nearly 200,000 gathered in South City, a small portion were from the 8 towns, definitely including the direct descendants of the 6 towns. As Xia Hong finished speaking, the expressions of the 12 Xianyang level were already frozen. Especially Qin Feng and Shang Yang were completely cornered. When they acted, they only thought about getting back on track today, without considering more. Now calming down, they realized capturing Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao would not threaten Xia Hong, but instead bring trouble to themselves. They were like 2 hot potatoes. Qin Feng, Shang Yang. Xia Hong suddenly called their names in a calm tone, and then in an instant, he adjusted his blood to his throat and shouted angrily, "Release them." The shout instantly dissipated the snow fog above Hongmen, startling nearly everyone in South City. Critically, Xia Hong's body seemed to have undergone some change. After his shout, everyone in Hongmen City could clearly feel the temperature rising rapidly. Mind you, it was daytime. The cold resistance level in South City could sense the cold, and even the tens of thousands in the earth-digging realm needed coal stoves to keep warm indoors. But after Xia Hong's shout, they suddenly felt no hint of cold, and those earth-digging realm hiding inside found it hot near the coal stove. Lord Xia Hong didn't use full strength just now. That's definitely the case. When the Xianyang levels showed up, only the temperature around the ministry building rose. Now it's the entire Hongmen City. How is it possible? Was Xia Hong just playing with the lords of the 6 towns? But Lord Xia Hong had a wound on his back for real. To a Xianyang level, what's that injury? Moreover, however severe Lord Xia Hong's injuries, are they worse than Yang Zhen's? Yang Zhen was stabbed in the left chest and his abdomen was pierced. He's still bleeding. Around the ministry building, the over 30,000 troops of Great Xia, including those dispersed across the city, clearly sensed something and became extremely excited, all following Xia Hong and shouting, "Release them, release them, release them." Chapter 1207, Chapter 406, Great Xia's True Strength, Shaking Tigers to Intimidate, Cowed into Submission and Post-War Reckoning Part 2. Qin Feng and Shang Yang's faces instantly turned beet red, their expressions reaching an extreme level of discomfort. Especially Shang Yang's old, wrinkled face even showed a slight tremble, the anger in his heart clearly rising to the utmost. He even slightly moved his fingers, seemingly wanting to do something drastic to Yuan Dao in his hand. "It was my oversight. I hope Lord Xia Hong can forgive me." Qin Feng was the first to concede. After speaking, he directly released Xia Chuan in his hand, skillfully pushing him to the ground. Shang Yang's full wrath vanished in an instant after Qin Feng's words, even showing a hint of fear in his eyes. He first cast Qin Feng a grateful glance, then released Yuan Dao in his hand, mimicking Qin Feng to skillfully send him back to the ground. However, just as Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao were escaping their grasp, in midair, Yang Zhen suddenly looked obscurely towards Chui Mountain. Duan Hong immediately caught on and signaled Mu Longhe with his eyes. Mu Long moved. Swish! In a flash, Mu Long's body shot out, abruptly drawing the silver twin swords at his waist, and stabbed 2 silver cold beams straight at Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao, who had just flown out less than 10 meters. Courting death. Is it difficult to kill 2 cold resistance level experts within 10 meters of him? He could see Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao, the former with a strength of 41 qis, the latter with 39 qis. For their age, such strength was indeed remarkable in the 9 towns, and it would not be an exaggeration to call them prodigious talents. But talent is only talent, and as long as they don't break through to the Xianyang level, they are still no different than ants in his eyes. So from the moment he acted, Mu Long never considered whether he would succeed. Even hearing Xia Hong's words courting death, he showed no sign of stopping, the sword beams moving straight forward, almost instantly reaching the back of Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao's neck. Just half a step further forward. Swishing. A scarlet afterimage suddenly flew out from within the ministry building, trailing 2 bloody ribbons in the air, and struck directly on the 2 points of sword beams. What is that? At the moment blood light collided with the sword beams, Mu Long exclaimed in shock, and the killing intent that had condensed in his eyes instantly halted, turning into terror and dread. He frantically let go and tried to retreat. Swishing. Crack crack. The speed of the blood light and sword beams was too fast, and though extremely powerful, the concentrated force produced an incredibly piercing and sharp humming noise upon collision. But amidst this piercing humming, there were also 2 extremely crisp sounds of bones cracking, causing everyone's heart on the scene to skip a beat. "On my hands!" Mu Long's scream drew everyone's eyes over, and seeing his state, their pupils uniformly shrank suddenly, faces filled with horror and shock. Mu Long's arms were actually severed from the shoulder roots. Even though the silver longswords in both his hands hadn't loosened yet, the bluish veins on the back of his hands were clearly visible when they fell from midair, clearly showing how fast those 2 bloody ribbons had been. Swishing. No one paid attention to Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao, who had landed safely anymore, because the scarlet afterimage that severed Mu Long's arms had returned. Most people on the scene hadn't even clearly seen what it was before it returned, and its target was still Mu Long. Mu Long, now with severed arms, beads of cold sweat appeared on his brow, and without any hesitation, retreated directly to dodge. But how could his speed compare to that scarlet afterimage? Clang! At the critical moment, Yang Jun finally took action. He appeared directly in front of Mu Long, and with a swift horizontal sweep of his long spear, he knocked the scarlet afterimage away for dozens of meters. Chirping! After stopping, the scarlet afterimage let out an extremely weak and sharp cry. An extremely small fox-like cold beast, just over 10 centimeters long, with a fluffy tail over 30 centimeters long, suddenly appeared in everyone's view. The fox-like cold beast's body was extremely miniature, with blood jade-colored fur as sparkling and translucent as jade, remarkably eye-catching. Its black and white distinct pupils were observing Yang Jun and the 11 others curiously, with 2 shining rainbow claws on its chest still stained with the blood and flesh from Mu Long's shoulders. Upon recognizing the true identity of the scarlet afterimage, the pupils of all over 10,000 cold resistance-level individuals in South City contracted suddenly, faces full of shock and horror. Is that a cold beast? It seems to be a blood jade fox. Blood jade fox, it is a blood jade fox, with a body length of only just over 10 centimeters. I recall that an advanced blood jade fox is over 20 centimeters long, which means this blood jade fox is a Beast King level blood jade fox. Great Xia actually reared a Beast King. This, gulp, a Beast King level blood jade fox. Great Xia, has a method to tame a Beast King level blood jade fox. The cold beast species in the Mo mountain range have some overlap with those identified by Great Xia, and the blood jade fox happens to be one of them. So many people recognized it at a glance. Regarding cold beasts, there is a general understanding in the ice abyss that the smaller the body size, the more terrifying its true strength usually is. Therefore, the blood jade fox with a body length of just over 10 centimeters, even if few cold resistance levels below had seen it, could immediately be judged as a Beast King level. Combining with the scene just now where the blood jade fox severed Mu Long's arms, naturally no one on the scene would question this judgment. Chapter 1208, Chapter 406, Great Xia's True Strength, Alarm and Intimidation, Post-War Reckoning Part 3. Great Xia has raised a Beast King level blood jade fox. Everyone's mind went blank as soon as this idea popped up in their heads. Not to mention the over 10,000 cold resistance level in South City, even Yang Jun and the other 12 people had horrified expressions on their faces at this moment. Their pupils were trembling uncontrollably, and some of them couldn't resist opening their mouths, but no words came out. Clearly, their hearts were already shaken beyond measure. Bang! No one noticed that inside Zhao's restaurant in South City, Chen Yiking, Chu Yanner, and the other 8 from Chen Kang, upon seeing the blood jade fox, instinctively jumped up from their chairs. Tame the Beast King level blood jade fox. This, how is it possible? Does Great Xia have such means? Impossible, absolutely impossible. The 8 people cried out incessantly. Even Chu Yanner, who had been extremely confident from start to finish, could no longer maintain her composure. She turned her head to look at the blood jade fox in midair, her pupils flickering incessantly. Impossible, absolutely impossible. After Chen Yiking repeated this phrase several times, he gritted his teeth and said, I don't believe it, absolutely impossible. Great Xia cannot possibly have the means to tame Beast Kings. Little princess, this place is too far away, I need to get closer to see it clearly. Upon hearing this, Chu Yanner furrowed her brow slightly but quickly nodded and said, Maintain a good distance. Xia Hong and Yang Jun are very powerful. If discovered, it would be a big trouble. I understand. Chen Yiking nodded solemnly and quickly went downstairs. It's not a Beast King level blood jade fox. Although it looks the same, it doesn't have any aura of a Beast King, and it's too obedient, impossible, absolutely impossible. Just as everyone's pupils trembled, Yang Jun in midair was the first to notice that there was something unusual about the blood jade fox. Since Yang Jun could detect it, Qin Feng, Shang Yuan Yang, and the other 9 Xianyang level also quickly made discoveries. But even after discovering this, their fear and alarm when looking at the blood jade fox didn't diminish at all. Instead, it grew even more. Regardless of the truth, the Beast King level strength the Blood Jade Fox just demonstrated was genuine. In fact, at this moment, Yang Jun and the others hoped that it was real. They weren't strangers to hunting Beast King level Blood Jade Foxes. If it were real, they wouldn't be this afraid. The most deadly thing about Ice Abyss is the information gap. Dealing with a Beast King level Blood Jade Fox that they knew well is much easier than dealing with the one in front of them, whose true identity they don't understand. Chirp. While everyone had uncertain expressions, above the ministry building, Xia Hong, after confirming Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao were safe, finally took action. Still with anger on his face, he waved gently toward the midair. The Blood Jade Fox, seemingly summoned by its master, immediately emitted a low cry and then turned into a rainbow light, flying directly onto Xia Hong's shoulder, even affectionately rubbing against his face. Just now, Lord Yang Jun said that no matter how strong Great Xia is, it's still just one town, incomparable to your 6 towns in terms of military strength and the number of Xianyang-level experts. At this point, Xia Hong paused slightly, his tone becoming increasingly somber, continuing. Lord Yang Jun also said, no matter how strong I am, I'm not strong enough to act recklessly in Mo Southern Slope. Xia Hong suddenly raised his head, a hint of disdain in his eyes, and sneered at the lords of the 6 towns, shouting loudly, "Then let the 6 lords open your eyes today, to see whether I have the qualifications to act recklessly in Mo Southern Slope." Roared. As the words fell, several angry roars suddenly erupted from the high sky on the west side of Hongmen City. The roar resonated, dispersing the clouds in the sky, shaking the earth, making everyone's heartbeats accelerate with the roars. They all looked toward the west side, their pupils filled with fear. It's coming from the direction of Hongmen Pass. Beast roar, this beast roar. I think I heard it during the beast tide before. Beast kings, all our beast king level cold beast roars. Quickly look, something s flying over. Over 10,000 people in South City, including the 12 in the sky, Yang Jun among them, turned to look westward. Their faces instantly turned pale, expressions were terrified to the extreme. 10 gigantic figures, each over 30 yards long, suddenly appeared from the high sky on the west side. First arrived were 3 bone spur frost wolves, followed by 2 long-tongued snow manes, then 2 golden-eyed demon sheep, thereafter 2 golden armored thunder kui, and finally a white bear. Whoosh and whoosh and whoosh. Bone spur frost wolves are relatively smaller, but all 3 frost wolf kings measure over 100 meters long. They are opening their massive bloody mouths, cold air spewing from their nasal wings, instantly freezing the falling snowflakes into hailstones, continuously plummeting toward the ground. The 2 long-tongued snow manes are roughly the same size as the frost wolves, but slightly larger in body. Their 2 sharp white tusks stick high into the air, while the icy long tongues in their mouths keep extending outward. The 2 golden-eyed demon sheep are 1 size larger than the previous ones, each nearly 32 yards long, crowned with 6 golden horns, their bodies covered with countless eyeballs, numbering at least 100,000. These dense, eerie eyeballs are already unsettling enough, but they keep rotating, seemingly scrutinizing every person in the city below, sending chills down the spine. The 2 golden armored thunder kui have similar sizes to the demon sheep, but are superior in their muscle bulge, making their form more robust, with a layer of solid golden skin showcasing impressive defense that's visible to the naked eye, not to mention the 10-yard tall dark unicorn on their forehead, duets flashing with lightning arcs, seemingly resonating with the clouds. Chapter 1209. Chapter 406. The True Strength of Great Xia, Shaking the Mountain to Intimidate the Tiger, Coercion into Submission and Post-War Reckoning, Part 4. The last white bear was the largest among the 10 beast kings. It stood upright, with a body length of over 35 zhang, covered in a layer of long, snow-white fur. If one didn't pay attention to its ferocious beast face, from the ground looking up, one might think it was a giant with a robust figure standing in the air. Gulp. On the ground, someone unknown was the first to make a swallowing sound. This sound seemed to be contagious, rapidly spreading from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Over 10,000 cold resistance-level individuals in South City began to tremble violently, both in their pupils and bodies. Their mouths opened and closed, seemingly wanting to say something, yet unable to utter a word. Thump, thumpy, thump. In many houses in South City, even the sound of kneeling reverberated continuously. In South City, There were not only these over 10,000 cold resistance levels, but also hundreds of thousands of earth-digging realm individuals from the 8 towns. Those hiding inside the earth-digging realm simply couldn't suppress their fear and couldn't help but kneel facing the sky. The Ice Abyss people cannot practice cultivation without beast meat. Therefore, anyone who wants to cultivate and embark on the path to strength inevitably has to deal with cold beasts. Under normal circumstances, at the same cultivation level, the individual strength of cold beasts can easily crush humans, making them extremely difficult to hunt. Humans facing them have already grown accustomed to and must rely on teamwork. Even at the Xianyang level, few possess the ability to hunt a beast king alone, who hasn't cultivated and grown strong step by step from a humble beginning. This leads to the ingrained belief in most humans that cold beasts are stronger than humans. With this ingrained belief, the fear most humans feel towards cold beasts is almost ingrained in their bones, especially when facing cold beasts higher than their level, such as logging realm encountering low-level cold beasts, earth-digging realm encountering intermediate-level cold beasts, cold resistance level encountering advanced cold beasts. This fear mentality immediately bursts forth. So, when the 10 Beast Kings appeared in the sky that day, regardless of whether it was the over 10,000 cold resistance levels in South City or the hundreds of thousands of earth-digging realm inside buildings, their excessive reactions were completely understandable. Don't understand? Look at Yang Zhen and the 12 people and you can understand. The 12 people at this moment had their gazes fixed on the 10 Beast Kings above them, pupils enlarged, faces numb. Except for Yang Zhen, Qin Feng, and Shang Yuan Yang in the front row, the remaining 9 people exhibited slight tremors in their bodies. Yet it wasn't over. Screech! Suddenly, a sharp cry echoed from several thousand meters above. A palm-sized shadow suddenly appeared in the clouds, and in less than 10 breaths, the shadow expanded hundreds or even thousands of times larger in everyone's pupils below. Whoosh! A fierce wind swept through, instantly causing sand and stones to fly and snow mist to fill the sky above the ground. Everyone couldn't help but cover their eyes first, and once the sound of the wind subsided, they raised their heads to look again. It was surprisingly an avian cold beast with fiery red feathers all over its body, with a wingspan of 100 jang. Each feather on its body shimmered with a fiery red glow, as if its whole body was lined with crimson blades, and a hooked black beak about 10 meters long, resembling a giant curved knife emitting a chilling glare. The bird's pupils shimmered faintly with a blood-red glow, constantly assessing over 10,000 people below it in South City, finally fixing its gaze on Yang Zhen and his 12 companions, revealing a ferocious glint in its eyes. Screech! Roar! Finally, Xia Hong intentionally released the blood jade fox from his embrace. The blood jade fox soared into midair, let out a roar, and its body suddenly expanded, growing to nearly 100 meters in an instant, with an ultra-long blood jade-colored giant tail swaying gently behind it. Its fierce and threatening posture had absolutely no relation to the obedient demeanor it displayed earlier in Xia Hong's arms. Everyone, did you see clearly enough? The 12 Beast King-level cold beasts stood across the sky, almost covering half the sky over Hongmen City, and at this moment, Xia Hong's question was like a fierce hammer striking the hearts of the 6 towns' lords. Their gazes slowly wandered from the 12 Beast Kings above to Xia Hong, filled with both fear and bewilderment in their pupils. Xia Hong stood deliberately more than 10 meters above the 6 towns, clad in black, hovering in midair. Despite the slightly tattered clothes on his back due to his earlier fight with Yang Zhen and his somewhat disheveled black hair, it did not affect his current demeanor at all, which towered far above the 6 towns' lords. Especially with his youthful and excessively handsome face, combined with the arrogant and domineering gaze, and the calm and proud demeanor, the scene was highlighted further by the panic-stricken expressions of the 12 Xianyang levels of the 6 towns, contrasting his figure as even more majestic. Collaborating with the backdrop of 12 massive-sized beast kings encircling midair, this scene was instantly etched deeply into the minds of everyone in South City. What everyone thought, Xia Hong surely didn't know. His gaze was intently fixed on Yang Zhen and his 12 companions, clearly not awaiting a response from them, but rather contemplating something within. At the end of the 2nd year of the Great Xia month, Xia Hong gathered more than 200 cold resistance levels to converge on the Yanglu Forbidden Land, and after defeating the Frost Wolf King controlled by the White Dew Monster, the Great Xia had a cold beast stake capable of simulating a Beast King-level bone spur frost wolf. But the Beast King-level cultivation of that frost wolf was forcibly elevated by other means from the White Dew monster, and at that time, Xia Hong had not yet broken through to the Xianyang level and did not dare to provoke a Beast King easily. Therefore, after extracting the essence blood of that Frost Wolf King for the cold beast steak, it was merely kept in Xia City as a trump card. Chapter 1210, Chapter 406, Great Xia's True Strength, Shaking the Mountains to Intimidate, Coercion and Capitulation, Aftermath Reckoning Part 5. In itself, it could only be like this. At that time, the Cold Ruins tripod had not yet been upgraded, and the simulation function of the cold beast steak could only be used within the tripod's radiation range. He couldn't possibly carry the Cold Ruins tripod around all day. So at that time, although he possessed the strength of a Beast King level, due to the limitations of the Cold Ruins tripod's function and usage conditions, he couldn't use it casually. All these changes occurred in September of the third year of Great Xia, at the moment when the Level 4 Cold Ruins tripod was upgraded to the Level 5 Yangtze tripod. The Level 5 Yangtze tripod can be absorbed into the body, and it can be ignited directly inside with system resources. The radiation range and other effects remained unchanged. This is why, at the last moment when the five-headed mysterious-faced Maitreya in Bashing City revived in early May this year, he boldly launched a surprise attack on the five great masters, because at that time, the Yangtze tripod was burning fiercely inside him. Xia Hong frowned, recalling now, being able to successfully kill the three great masters and the five-headed mysterious-faced Maitreya, failing to revive, might have owed to the Yangtze tripod's credit. So much time has passed, naturally Xia Hong wouldn't dwell on it anymore. From last September when he broke through to Xianyang level, he has killed a total of 26 Beast Kings, and it stands to reason that the essence blood from these 26 Beast Kings has been infused into all the cold beast steaks one by one. 12 heads are not the limit of Great Xia, it's just the portion he is willing to show to the 8 towns. Honestly speaking, if it weren't for concerns about the so-called Kaiku feudal town and other possible outer realm forces lurking within the 9 towns, the current situation with the 8 towns for Great Xia is truly not a difficult task to break them one by one and finally establish domination over Mo South Slope land. The northern 3 towns and other various towns might have some trump cards, but they wouldn't be able to withstand 50 cold beast steaks of Great Xia. As long as Xia Hong invests the time to enable the remaining cold beast steaks with the capability to simulate the Beast Kings, annihilating the 8 towns is only a matter of time. The show of force has ended. Now the question is whether it will be effective. If such a small display can intimidate Kaiku, then the strength of this so-called feudal town is merely so. If they dare to attack prematurely, I have plenty of cards in hand and fundamentally no fear. If Kaiku shows no reaction, then it either indicates their strength is indeed far beyond my imagination, or it indicates that there truly exists something in the north physically isolating the southern slope and Kaiku feudal town, preventing them from invading the south on a large scale. Xia Hong subtly scanned the over 10,000 cold resistance level men in South City, pondered for a moment, then continued to look at Yang Zhen's 12 people, asking with a faint smile. Lord Yang Zhen just said, "Today I must give an account to your 6 towns. What kind of account do you wish to hear? Please feel free to boldly state your demands now." Thumping. The hearts of Yang Zhen's 12 people all involuntarily thumped, and then they looked up at Xia Hong, their bodies suddenly shivering. Lord Xia Hong, both I and Sheng Yuan Long, came here by invitation from Beishuo. The deceased are from the 3 towns' Chamber of Commerce and have nothing to do with my Jin Mountain. How could I dare ask Lord Xia Hong for an account? Lord Xia Hong, both of us are also here by invitation from Lord Yang Zhen. Naturally, we wouldn't ask Great Xia for an account. Shang Yuan Yang and Qin Feng both bowed and saluted Xia Hong immediately, throwing the blame onto Yang Zhen, clearing themselves completely. Xia Hong neither interrupted nor responded, merely nodded lightly, then turned his gaze to people from the other 4 towns. Lord Xia Hong, I came over this time purely to investigate the cause of the Chamber of Commerce members' deaths and not to antagonize Great Xia. From start to finish, I have never acted against anyone in Great Xia. I hope Lord Xia Hong will discern this. Long Minjuan also came to ascertain the cause of their deaths and had no intention of any hostility against Great Xia. If any offense was caused, I ask Lord Xia Hong to forgive. The thousands of people in South City below, upon hearing the words from the leaders of these two towns, had their eyes twitch sharply, faces full of astonishment. Breaking through to Xianyang level didn't just enhance their strength but also their acting skills. Investigating the cause of death, Xia Hong clearly already admitted earlier that the members of the Three Towns Chamber of Commerce were killed by his orders. Yet now Long Minjuan and Cao Caiyanyang claimed they came just to investigate the cause of death of the chamber members and had no intention of antagonizing Great Xia. 4 town leaders have already bowed, apologized, and pleaded with Xia Hong for forgiveness, leaving only Beishuo and Chui mountain towns. Everyone's eyes instantly focused on Yang Zhen, this former first of the 9 towns. Of course also on Duan Hong, the lord of Chui mountain nearby. Duan Hong looked deathly pale, eyes full of terror, while Mu Long beside him closed his eyes with a look of obvious despair. Clearly, both their hearts were in utter chaos at the moment, and they were unable to utter a single word. Seeing this, Yang Zhen's eyes flashed with a hint of anger. Gritting his teeth, he clenched his fist under the sleeve slightly, then directly stood out, bowed to Xia Hong and said, "Lord Xia Hong, in my view, the death of those in the Three Towns Chamber of Commerce must hold other hidden motives. I suspect someone is deliberately sowing discord among the 9 towns from the shadows, attempting to stir up conflict in Mo South Slope for no reason. I was momentarily careless and almost fell prey to the cunning scheme of the traitor, causing a major disaster. I hope Lord Xia Hong is generous, and considering Yang's unintended mistake, will show leniency." Chapter 12:11, Chapter 406, The True Strength of Great Xia, Shock and Awe, Intimidation and Post-War Reckoning, Part 6. Bang! The entire Hongmen city was utterly silent at the moment, but it felt as if everyone's hearts had exploded simultaneously. The status of Beishuo is extremely special. Firstly, it is one of the northern 3 towns. Secondly, it is recognized as the strongest among the northern 3 towns, and with Lord Yang Zhen, who has long held the title of the #1 strongman among the 9 towns, Beishuo indeed stands above the other 8 towns on the south slope of Mo Mountain. Since the opening of the Great Xia's Hongmen in July, some have given Great Xia the title of the first town of the south slope of Mo Mountain, but everyone knows in their hearts that this was nothing more than the ill intentions of those who seek to stir trouble. The real first town is undoubtedly Beishuo. But at this moment, from the moment Yang Zhen himself brought up the hidden truth behind the deaths of those from the 3 towns Chamber of Commerce, and then bowed to Xia Hong, the title of the #1 strongman of the 9 towns, the first town of the south slope of Mo Mountain. These 2 titles have thoroughly changed hands. Xia Hong didn't speak, and the lords of the 6 towns didn't dare to rise. They stayed bowed midair towards him. This scene will definitely be etched deeply in the minds of the people below, and it's likely to be passed down in the south slope of Mo Mountain for many, many years. In fact, there were already many painters in the South City, excitedly wielding their brushes towards the air. "Oh yeah? It seems Brother Yang knows quite a bit." The thoughts of the people on the ground, Xia Hong naturally disregarded. After hearing Yang Zhen's words, he immediately looked deeply at him. He had the feeling that Yang Zhen most likely knew that those people weren't killed by Great Xia, and his real purpose was to act under this pretense. "Lord Cao, Lord Long, you both heard what Brother Yang said, right?" Cao Caiyanyang and Long Minjuan were not fools. Upon hearing Yang Zhen's words, they immediately furrowed their brows, obviously sensing something unusual. But since Xia Hong asked at this moment, they didn't dare to think much and immediately bowed and answered him. "I think Lord Yang Zhen makes sense. This matter is indeed strange. We must investigate to find the true culprit." The 2 of them may not have completely understood the situation, but in this circumstance, they couldn't afford to ponder slowly. Xia Hong certainly understood this. He smiled with a touch of pride, saying, "Since you understand this principle, then I have nothing more to say. Let me be blunt. If I really wanted to kill, not to mention those people of the 3 towns Chamber of Commerce, even the 12 of you." At this point, Xia Hong suddenly paused. A cold smile appeared on his face, and he continued, "The cause of death for those from the 3 towns Chamber of Commerce must be thoroughly investigated. Within 10 days, your 6 towns must send all the corpses of those people to Hongmen City. Great Xia will be responsible for the investigation. You will dispatch people to coordinate, and finally, if it's found that Yuan Cheng, Qiu Peng, and Yuan Dao were the killers, I will give all of the 9 towns an explanation. And certainly, if it turns out to be a frame-up by someone else, then don't blame Great Xia for being unkind." After saying these last three words, Xia Hong let out a cold snort, suddenly turning his head to scan South City. The over 10,000 cold resistance level individuals below had nothing to hide in their hearts, but when they realized Xia Hong's eyes might have scanned over them, they couldn't help but shudder. After scanning the crowd below, Xia Hong looked up at the lords of the six towns. Seeing that the six still appeared a bit tense, he gently waved his hand and smiled. "There's no need to be nervous. At the Hongmen banquet at the end of April, I said, Great Xia crossing the Xing River North Bank is to integrate into the South Slope territory of Mo. We never intended to be enemies with the towns. Now, you should believe me, right?" At the end of April, Xia Hong had said this. At the time, everyone was indifferent, especially Du and Hong, who took Xia Hong's words merely as posturing. But now, hearing these words, they looked up at the 12 beast kings in the sky. With no doubts in their eyes, all nodded. The opening of Hongmen City will proceed as usual, and trades with the six towns will also continue. Since Lord Yang Zun has made things clear today, the trade embargo on Beishuo can also be lifted, and business with Great Xia can continue as before. Hearing Xia Hong's words, Yang Zun's expression froze slightly, but he quickly cupped his hands and bowed to Xia Hong. "Lord Xia Hong's magnanimity, I am in awe." Xia Hong gestured "it's all right" with a slight wave of his hand, then smiled and said, "What magnanimity, it's just business after all. Great Xia can earn money, and at the same time bring out good things to share with everyone in the 8 towns. It's a win-win, why not do it? The stronger the humans of the 9 towns, the safer the South Slope territory, and the more stable Great Xia can develop, don't you think?" "Of course that's right. Lord Xia Hong's words are enlightening to me. Having Great Xia is truly a blessing for the people of 9 towns." Hearing the praises from the lords of the 6 towns, Xia Hong's smile grew broader. After frequently nodding, he looked down at the ministry building below and immediately showed a tinge of difficulty, gently shaking his head as he spoke to the 6 of them. "The 6 towns today have indeed caused Great Xia quite a loss. 30,000 troops consuming sunlight pills, over 1,000 silver-made giant arrows from the divine machine crossbow, and the manpower and resources spent on mobilizing such a large army, of course." After listing several losses, Xia Hong suddenly stopped. His expression became solemn as he pointed towards Mu Long of Chui Mountain Town, his tone suddenly cold. "Army Chief Mu almost killed 2 of Great Xia's people. Today I'm afraid he won't be walking out of Hongmen City." Chapter 12:12. Chapter 407. No filial piety beyond the Mu family, no benevolence beyond Xia Hong, Mo South Slope dominator. Army Chief Mu almost killed 2 people of Great Xia. Today, I'm afraid he won't be able to leave Hongmen City. Originally, the fear in the hearts of Yang Zun and others had gradually dissipated due to Xia Hong's softened attitude. Even when they heard him mention the considerable loss Great Xia suffered today at the hands of the 6 towns, clearly hinting at compensation, the lords of the 6 towns didn't feel too disturbed, and even began to calculate how much Great Xia would demand. But Xia Hong's abrupt change in tone made their hearts leap to their throats. Indeed, Mu Long had just attempted to kill Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao. How could Xia Hong not hold him accountable? Duan Hong's face turned deathly pale, his mouth slightly open as if wanting to say something, yet his legs felt like they were filled with lead, preventing him from moving even an inch. "Waste." Seeing Duan Hong's pitiful demeanor, Yang Zun's expression turned extremely grim. He gritted his teeth and eventually stepped forward, cupping his hands and bowing to Xia Hong. Mu Long acted impulsively. It was truly an unintentional act. I hope Lord Xia Hong can be generous enough to forgive him this once. After speaking, he exchanged a slight glance with Duan Hong. Duan Hong received the cue immediately, stepping forward and gritting his teeth. As long as Lord Xia Hong can spare Mu Long, Chui Mountain is willing to offer 1 billion taels of silver. Well, 1 billion taels of silver, even for someone of Xianyang level, is a considerable amount, let alone the others in Hongmen City. So upon hearing this number, everyone below instantly erupted. Currently, the most expensive items Great Xia sells at the treasure tower are the dragon carp, green cod, and black death, 3 kinds of spirit pills used for enhancing the peak of cold resistance level. The most costly black death pill is priced at 110,000 taels. 1 billion taels could buy thousands of them. Not to mention, if Mu Long were a healthy Xianyang level, the price for his life would certainly be worthwhile, even if it were a bit higher. The problem is, Mu Long's arms have already been severed. Moreover, the Those severed arms and swords were picked up by Great Xia's people when they fell earlier. A Xianyang level without arms, and yet Duan Hong is willing to spend this money, truly commendable. At this moment, even Mu Long seemed slightly moved. If Lord Duan truly wishes to spend money to avert disaster, I may not disagree. However, my Great Xia nearly lost 2 future Xianyang-level individuals. Thinking 1 billion taels would settle the matter, Lord Duan is being too simplistic. Xia Hong paused slightly, thought for a moment, then smiled and said, "All right, I won't make it difficult for you. 10 billion taels will be enough. As long as Chewy Mountain can produce 10 billion taels of silver, I'll release Mu Long. How about it?" Duan Hong's expression instantly froze. Not only Duan Hong, but Yang Zhen and Yang Fa, including the other 4 towns' Xianyang levels, all furrowed their brows sharply. The amount skyrocketed to tenfold. 10 billion taels of silver amounts to 25,000 tons of silver. Though reserves less than 100,000 tons are called micro-silver mines, a typical micro-silver mine has a maximum reserve of 70,000 tons. 25,000 tons of silver is almost a third of a normal micro-silver mine's output. What is output? It's the result of expending masses of manpower and resources to mine it out. No doubt, Chewy Mountain can come up with this amount. The issue is spending such a huge sum to save Mu Long, with severed arms. Is it worth it? Duan Hong's slightly troubled expression already provided the answer. Though Mu Long previously took Dan medicine to suppress his injuries, the pain of Xianyang-level bone fracture evidently wasn't easy to endure. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead. Observing Duan Hong's expression beside him, his body shivered sharply, and his expression dimmed a bit. Yang Zhen's face visibly showed some intent to move, but his gaze lingered on Mu Long's arm position, ultimately suppressing the urge to step forward. The Xianyang level's cultivation mainly concentrates on the bones. Complete fracture of arm bones poses a problem even preserving cultivation. If preserved, it still equals becoming useless. 10 billion taels of silver surely isn't worth it. Mu Long offended Great Xia. His current fate is deserved. How dare I let the Lord spend vast sums to rescue a cripple like me? I leave my life at Great Xia's disposal, only hoping the Lord treats the Mu family disciples kindly in the future. Mu Long, aged as he was, naturally saw the situation clearly. Ultimately, he voluntarily spoke to give Duan Hong an out. After speaking without hesitation, he flew directly towards Xia Hong. Watching Mu Long's departing figure, a trace of regret flickered in Duan Hong's eyes. He spoke in a deep, whispered tone, "Don't worry, Long. I won't mistreat the Mu family." Father, great-grandfather, grandfather. As Mu Long flew towards Xia Hong, 13 individuals of cold resistance level in South City cried out in alarm, directly rushing to the front of the ministry building. Halt! Having returned to the military formation, Xia Chuan saw these 13 charging together. Even knowing their identity, he still loudly scolded them to halt. Halt! Already having suffered a loss just now, not only Xia Chuan, but Yuan Dao and the other 30,000-plus troops of Great Xia naturally wouldn't be careless again. They immediately roared in unison. 5,000 strong bows and more than 20,000 weapons instantly aimed at those dozen people. Among those 13, there were men and women, the old and the young. The Xia army's majesty made them freeze in place instantly, afraid to take another step forward. In midair, Mu Long had already halted upon hearing the noise. Seeing the Xia army's strong bows and weapons aimed entirely at the 13 individuals, he urgently pleaded with Xia Hong. "Lord Xia Hong, those 13 are my Mu family's ignorant descendants. They acted rashly out of anxiety. Please spare their lives. I assure you they'll never seek vengeance against Great Xia in the future." Chapter 12:13. Chapter 407. Filial piety belongs to the Mu family. Kindness belongs to Xia Hong Mo South Slope Dominator, Part 2. He seemed afraid of being slow, and after speaking he turned his head and roared at the 13 people below. "King, you are confused. The consequences I face today are all my own doing, and have nothing to do with Great Xia. All of you kneel down and apologize to the Xia army. Swear never to cause trouble for Great Xia again. Hurry." Bang! The Mu family disciples evidently held deep respect for Mu Long, the patriarch. Upon hearing his words, they knelt down without hesitation. The elderly man leading them, presumably Mu King as mentioned by Mu Long, looked at Xia Hong with a mournful expression, clasping his hands and pleading, "I Mu King, Pay homage to the great Xia Lord. Lord Xia Hong, my father has lost both arms and is no different from a cripple. Impossible to pose any threat to great Xia henceforth. I am willing to sacrifice my life in place of my father, only pleading for Lord Xia Hong to grant some mercy. Sacrifice for the father. The utterance of these 4 words by Mu King moved everyone present. However, what moved them was far from just this. Mu Qingyu is also willing to join my brother to sacrifice for our father. Mu Qingmian is willing to die in place of our father, plead with Lord Xia Hong to spare him his life. Mu Ziyang is willing to die in place of my grandfather, Lord Xia Hong, kill me. Mu Ziheng. Mu Yunhua. Once Mu King spoke, the 12 other Mu family members of various genders and ages kneeling behind him all rushed to speak up as well. Ranging from those close in age to Mu King, including his second brother and third sister, to the younger Mu family members barely in their 20s, all were willing to die in place of this elder, Mu Long. Not to mention the over 10,000 people in South City, even among the over 30,000 Xia army soldiers, including the frontline figures Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao among other great Xia higher-ups, their expressions subtly shifted. No family's devotion surpasses the Mu family's. The Mu family's principles ought to be a model for my great Xia. No, for the entire 9 towns of Mo South Slope, among countless families. The long-regarded Xia Hong suddenly spoke this sentence. No family's devotion surpasses the Mu family's. Everyone in Great Xia and the 8 towns felt a subtle tremble in their bodies. Any normal person could hear the intense praise and commendation in Xia Hong's tone. With Xia Hong's current status, without a doubt, this statement would soon spread throughout Mo South Slope, making the Mu family a model for countless families in the 9 towns. In this way, surely Mu Long would no longer have to die. Lord Xia Hong, with benevolence and virtue surpassing all, indeed a blessing for our 9 towns. Thank you, Lord Xia Hong, for your mercy. Duan is endlessly grateful. Yang Zhun and Duan Hong at this time unexpectedly performed a double act. The former, Yang Zhun, was singing praises, while the latter, Duan Hong, directly upstaged and actually seized the opportunity to thank Lord Xia Hong on behalf of Mu Long. This fruit-picking technique is so clumsy. How could these small schemes escape Xia Hong's notice? Xia Hong raised his head, first looking at the 2 with a half-smile, then transferred his gaze to Mu Long, continued gravely. The Mu family having such principles clearly shows that you Mu Long are not beyond redemption. However, the great Xia's authority cannot be violated. Since you've sinned, you deserve punishment. Considering the filial piety from the Mu family disciples, this Lord grants special mercy, sparing you from death, sentencing you to 10 years of service in Great Xia. Upon completion, you'll regain your freedom. How does that sound? Mu Long dared not have any objection. He did not know that Xia Hong never intended to kill him in the first place. At this moment, he only realized he had gotten away with his life. His face full of joy and excitement, he bowed respectfully to Xia Hong. Thank you, Lord Xia Hong, for your mercy. Mu Long, endlessly grateful. Father's life is saved. Mu Qinghe and the Mu family disciples behind him were also thrilled, all prostrated on the ground, thanking and expressing deep gratitude to Xia Hong, bowing repeatedly. Thank you, Lord Xia Hong, for your mercy. Thank you, Lord Xia Hong. The benevolence of the great Xia Lord blesses the 9 towns henceforth with fortune. Lord Xia Hong was never a bloodthirsty person. In my view, there must be something fishy about the deaths of those from 3 towns' Chamber of Commerce. Mu Long almost just killed Lord Xia Hong's own brother. Such mercy exemplifies Lord Xia Hong's magnanimity. Just now, Lord Xia Hong said no family's devotion surpasses the Mu family's. In my opinion, we should add that no benevolence surpasses Xia Hong's. No benevolence surpasses Xia Hong's, indeed, well said. In the skies, Yang Zhun and Duan Hong's expressions were extremely ugly at this point. Duan Hong's plan to pick the fruits was shattered by Xia Hong's 10-year sentence, directly thwarting his attempt to rescue Mu Long and salvage his image with Mu Long and the Mu family. Now, it's entirely in vain. Moreover, with Mu Long being detained in Great Xia, unless he truly gives up on Mu Long, for the next 10 years, Chui Mountain will be under Xia Hong's control everywhere. Completely abandoning Mu Long would imply that Mu family disciples, including a large contingent of core disciples under Mu Long, would all leave Chui Mountain. This price is unbearable. And Yang Zhun's expression was even more distressing than Duan Hong. especially hearing the cheering from South City, mixed with countless praises for Xia Hong's benevolence. It felt as if he had swallowed a fly. It was he who just voiced out the praise for Xia Hong's benevolence. All right, the matter of Hongmen ends here today. Xia Hong finally declared the conclusion of this Hongmen incident. From the early arrival of the 6 towns, Xianyang level in Hongmen City to his declaration ending the Hongmen incident, it lasted nearly 2 hours. The sky at this point was gradually fading into dusk. Xia Chuan worked with Qiu Peng to tally the sunlight pill, silver crossbow arrows, and other supplies consumed during the army's assembly and subsequent battle, account for all military expenditure in silver, and formally deliver an external decree to the 6 towns. All military supplies for this battle shall be borne by the 6 towns. Chapter 12:14. Chapter 407. Filial piety belongs to the Mu family, benevolence belongs to Xia Hong, Mo South Slope Dominator, Part 3. Your subordinate follows the command. Your subordinate follows the command. Of course, Xia Hong did not forget about the aftermath. He first instructed Xia Chuan and Qiu Peng, and after the two responded, he suddenly turned around and looked at the lords of the 6 towns who were about to leave, asking them with a playful tone, "Gentlemen, you don't have any objections, do you?" Lord Xia Hong, rest assured. Once Great Xia's decree arrives, Wu Chuan will wholeheartedly offer its silver. Yang has no objections. Dragon Valley awaits Great Xia's decree. Yang has no objections. Chui Mountain will wait for Great Xia's decree. At this moment, all the lords of the 6 towns only wanted to leave quickly. Who would dare have objections? After leaving a sentence, they quickly flew away. By the way, don't forget, gentlemen, I just said that within 10 days, all the bodies of the victims must be sent to Hongmen. This investigation will be led by Great Xia, and the 6 towns must send people to jointly participate. The lords of the 6 towns hadn't flown far. Xia Hong made sure his words clearly reached their ears, and without looking at them anymore, he immediately withdrew the 12 cold beast stakes in the sky. A trace of pain flashed in his eyes before he smiled and looked down at the more than 30,000 soldiers around the ministry building. Why are you all looking at me like that? The moment Yang Zhen and the other 11 left, the over 30,000 soldiers around Great Xia truly relaxed completely. Once everyone relaxed, without exception, they all raised their heads to look at Xia Hong in the sky. The over 10,000 cold resistance-level soldiers from South City, after all, came from different towns, and their feelings were mixed at the moment. Hence, their gazes towards Xia Hong were filled with various emotions: shock, reverence, admiration, respect, fear. Almost every kind was present. But the reaction of the more than 30,000 soldiers from Xia City was different. At this moment, they were extremely excited, looking at Xia Hong with faces full of reverence. The fervor in their eyes was almost overflowing. It should be known that these more than 30,000 people were gathered from various stations of Xia City and the territory of Great Xia. Before coming to Hongmen, they already knew their opponents were from 6 towns, so they were mentally prepared to face a fierce battle. Who would have thought, except for some minor movements with the divine machine, crossbows by the soldiers of the Cloud Jiao and Long Wu, the others simply showed up throughout the event. Defeating the strongest of the 9 towns, Yang Zhen, cutting off Mu Long's arms with the bloodletting Jade Fox, summoning the 12 Beast Kings to intimidate the 6 towns, and making all lords obediently bow their heads. In the previous 2 hours, what Xia Hong did was just secondary to the excitement it caused. The crucial point was that every single act paved the way for Great Xia to become the #1 town in Mo. Xia Hong's strength was a mystery to the people of Great Xia. Everyone knew he was strong, but no one could say exactly how strong, not even Li Xuanling, who was with him day and night. At this moment, these more than 30,000 people finally understood just how powerful their lord was. Defeating Yang Zhen was nothing compared to this. Having 12 Beast Kings by one side, everyone knew what this meant. From now on, Great Xia should be able to dominate throughout the entire Mo South Slope. No, what South Slope? Is there anyone in the entire Mo Mountain territory stronger than Xia Hong? Is there any camp more powerful than Great Xia? These two questions arose in everyone's mind. Instinctively, they found the answers in their hearts, and then their gazes towards Xia Hong grew increasingly fervent, their faces slowly turning red. Long live the Lord, long live Great Xia. Fervor is an emotion that easily causes one to lose rationality, especially given the bewildering display Xia Hong put on today. So someone finally couldn't suppress the fervor in their heart, raised their weapon, and shouted out loud to Xia Hong in the sky. That shout completely ignited the flame within everyone's heart. Long live the Lord, long live great Xia. Long live the Lord, long live great Xia. Long live the Lord, long live great Xia. One loud and fervent cheer after another echoed continuously in Hongmen City. Even the slowly descending night couldn't suppress the explosive fervor among the crowd at that moment. From Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao to some new recruits with earth-digging realm limit cultivation who had only joined the camp for 1 or 2 years, they all looked up to Xia Hong in the sky, as if gazing at a deity. In their cheers, there was not just reverence and fervor for Xia Hong, but also a deep sense of pride in being a member of Great Xia. This emotion quickly spread to the more than 10,000 cold resistance-level troops in South City, and those of the earth-digging realm, who gradually emerged from their houses with the coming of the night. As they heard wave after wave of chanting, a hint of envy appeared on their faces, which soon turned into a firm resolve as if they understood something. To join Great Xia, I must find a way to join Great Xia. This thought emerged simultaneously in the minds of the vast majority of people. They first let his subordinates come forth to show dominance over the 6 towns, taking advantage to force Yang Zhen's hand. Seeing Yang Ning and the other 2 swear an oath, knowing the deaths in the 3 towns were a messy account impossible to clarify, he straightforwardly took the blame to prevent the 6 towns from shirking responsibility, which would have disadvantaged Great Xia. Xia Hong had already anticipated that once Yang Zhen was defeated, the 6 towns, having lost face twice consecutively, would not let it go easily, so he had long prepared the 12 Beast King puppets in advance. Chapter 12:15, Chapter 407, Filial piety cannot surpass the Mu family, benevolence cannot surpass Xia Hong, Mo South Slope Dominator Part 4. Cut off Mu Long's arms, intimidate the 6 towns, and force them to reveal the truth about the deaths of those 3 towns' Chamber of Commerce people, arguing that there were hidden motives. Then take the opportunity to propose an investigation to uncover the truth, and demand that the 6 towns send personnel. In this way, Great Xia can establish prestige and clear its name before all, winning the trust of the people. The entire process is meticulously interconnected and progresses layer by layer, not only successfully replacing Yang Zhen as the number 1 in the 9 towns, but also elevating Great Xia above the 8 towns, actually becoming the number 1 town in Mo. From this moment, Xia Hong has indeed become the dominator of Mo South Slope, a great Xia Hong, a great Xia town. In South City Zhao's restaurant, Chu Yanner looked extremely solemn. After hearing her words, the 5 middle-aged men including Chen Yiking were immediately lost in thought. Mo South Slope dominator, really. 12 Beast King puppets, today Yang Zhen and others were unprepared. Should the 6 towns truly unite, they wouldn't fear Great Xia. Hearing Chen Yu's retort, Chu Yanner shook her head without responding. Chen Yiking's brow furrowed slightly as he looked at his eldest son with dissatisfaction. Yang Zhen and the others were unprepared, and Xia Hong didn't employ any means either. Even though over 30,000 troops seemed present, aside from the initial 20 divine machine crossbows, they mostly just watched today. The confrontation was between Xia Hong and 12 Xianyang-level figures. Chen Yu immediately realized the situation, his expression subtly changing. Chen Yiking did not bother with his son further, but turned to Chu Yanner. What Xia Hong just mentioned as sunlight pills should be derived from cracking the formula of Yan Long Master's fire melting pills. I sent the fire melting pills back at the end of last year, but they haven't been produced yet. For Great Xia to make it so quickly, Xia Hong must have obtained Yan Long Master's heart. Many might not have noticed that of Great Xia's over 30,000 troops, more than 80% only have the earth-digging realm limit cultivation. It was daytime during the past 2 hours when people at this cultivation level supposedly cannot be exposed in sunlight. When Xia Hong said the word sunlight pill, Chen Yiking recalled the fire melting pills from the beginning of the year at Daju Temple. Chu Yanner nodded, speaking softly. Not only Yan Long, but both Wu Sheng and Vajra Masters were also killed by Xia Hong, which means Great Xia may control more than just the fire melting pills method. They likely have alternatives for Zen Gold Powder and Primordial Soul Pill as well. Zen Gold Powder enhances skin membrane defenses, making one impervious to blades and guns. But the Primordial Soul Pill, I seem to remember Master Wu Sheng used it to kill in the end. Seeing Chu Yanner, who just arrived from Chen Kang, being so well informed about the 5 great masters, was not strange to Chen Yiking at all. Last year he was part of the 7 towns reinforcements, witnessing the entire process from Daju Temple's opening battle to its eventual downfall. He clearly understood the methods of the 5 masters, and as early as May this year, he had sent back the news to Chen Kang through Chen Huang and Li. Chu Yan'er evidently read the intelligence he sent back before she came. I remember the methods of the 5 masters all require reading match sutras to be effective, while Great Xia's sunlight pill doesn't need sutra recitation. It seems a bit more advanced. Chen Yiking did not answer Chu Yan'er's previous question, but suddenly brought up the sutra matter with a somber expression. Chu Yan'er was momentarily stunned by his words, but soon understood, her expression growing increasingly serious as she pondered briefly. That means Zen Gold Powder and Primordial Soul Pill have likely been significantly improved too, adding 3 strategies to Xia army at once. The crucial point is we still don't know the specific effects of Wu Sheng Master's Primordial Soul Pill. Having information gaps is sometimes deadly. The Sunlight Pill is not surprising. Dan medicine enhancing human defense like Zen Gold Powder isn't absent in Chen Kang either. The key is what exactly the Primordial Soul Pill does, which must be confirmed. Having just approached, Chen Yiking already confirmed that those 12 Beast Kings are not true cold beasts, but rather puppets with Beast King level strength. Beast King puppets aren't unfamiliar to Chu Yan'er, but 12 beasts are enough to grab Chen Kang's attention. This Xia Hong will certainly become a major threat to my Chen Kang. Chu Yan'er's sudden assertion startled Chen Yiking and the 6 present, making them look at her in disbelief. Little princess, that's a bit overdone. Xia Hong is indeed strong among Xianyang levels, and currently Great Xia can offer some remarkable tactics, but a major threat. Aren't you overestimating him? If the blood miasma plane weren't blocking in the middle, regardless of Xia Hong or 9 towns, Mo Mountain's south slope would have long been a Chen Kang dependency. And he immediately retorted. Chen Yiking did not express disagreement but remained silent, waiting until others finished. Then, he suddenly seemed to remember something and turned to Chu Yan'er, asking, "Before Uncle Chen Yuanbai and 2 others returned to Chen Kang at the beginning of May, they told me Lord Landgrave intended to ally with Kai Q to cleanse the deceitful objects at Blood Miasma Plain. Dare I ask, little princess, are you aware of this? It's not Lord Landgrave planning to ally with Kai Q, but Kai Q's people seeking Lord Landgrave, wanting to team up with our Chen Kang." After being refuted by everyone, though Chu Yan'er knitted her brows slightly, she didn't argue back, until she heard Chen Yiking's question and promptly corrected his mistake. Chapter 12:16, Chapter 407, Filial piety cannot surpass the Mu family, benevolence cannot surpass Xia Hong, Mo South Slope Dominator /5. After she finished talking, she paused slightly and then sighed before continuing. This is the reason I just mentioned that Xia Hong might become a severe threat to Chen Kang. Kaiku feudal town has always been obsessed with Mo Mountain. Its main territorial expansion direction has always been northeast, completely ignoring the Blood Miasma Plain to the south for decades. Suddenly, it wants to cooperate with Chen Kang and proposes to jointly clear the Blood Miasma Plain. What do you think is the reason? Chen Yiking and the other 6 people's expressions changed instantly. As fellow feudal towns, they know Kaiku far better than the 9 towns. The Blood Miasma Plain is not a joking matter. Kaiku's attitude of ignoring it for decades and expanding in other directions was normal. Suddenly turning their attention to the Blood Miasma Plain and suggesting a collaboration with Chen Kang clearly indicates blockades in other directions, and they have thoughts of expanding south. The matter of cooperating with Kaiku is yet undecided, and I'm not sure, but I can ensure that now it's not just Chen Kang eyeing the 9 towns. Kaiku is at least one of them among possibly others. Chu Yan'er paused again and continued in a slightly deep voice. You all know what kind of place the Blood Miasma Plain is. Even if 2 feudal towns team up, it's not a matter of a day to clear it. The key is that Great Xia is developing at an exceptionally fast pace. Before Great Xia had moved beyond the north bank of Xing River, it had already swallowed Bashing City by leveraging the Daju Temple affair, subdued Xiang Fuhai, and wooed Jiangxia and Mayan. By the time of the Hongmen banquet, 3 of the 9 towns were gone. The opening of Hongmen in July was clearly a move by Great Xia to cut the supply to the 8 towns. In just over 2 months since the opening, you must have seen it during Xia Hong's standoff with the 6 towns' lords. Almost all the people in the village-level camp in the 8 towns were hoping for Great Xia to win. Today's confrontation is basically the last chance for the 6 towns to deal with Great Xia together. Unfortunately, it still failed. Yang Zhen has some skills but only controlled Chewy Mountain Town. The other 4 towns have different agendas. It's impossible to form today's kind of alliance again. In other words, Great Xia is already the undisputed South Ridge dominator. And they have been out on the north bank of the Heng River for less than 5 months. Chen Yiking nodded, his expression already extremely serious, and solemnly responded, I have stayed in Hongmen City for a long time, and combined with the situation I have found out, the information revealed from Yang Ning's mouth at the beginning of the month can basically be confirmed. The development from a small camp to today for Great Xia is indeed less than 10 years, or about 10 years at most. Although Great Xia's calendar date and month have been synchronized with the Mo calendar, both being September 18, the year is still the 8th year of Xia. From a small camp, it has only taken 10 years to develop to where it is now. What kind of development speed is this? As soon as Chen Yiking finished speaking, not to mention the 4 middle-aged men like Chen Yimu, even the young Chen Yu and Chen Huang, their pupils suddenly contracted, their faces full of shock. It still takes time to clear the blood miasma plane. We absolutely must not sit by and let Great Xia continue to develop stably. We must try our best to disrupt the stable development pace of Great Xia. Trying to orchestrate a second union of the 6 towns is hardly possible anymore, so let's keep deteriorating the relations between the 6 towns and Great Xia. At the very least, ensure this before clearing the blood miasma plane. Thank you, little princess, for the reminder. Chen understands. Chen Yiking understood the hint, immediately bowed and nodded heavily. Xia Hong wants to unite the 6 towns to find out the truth about the 3 towns' Chamber of Commerce deaths. Uncle Chen, are you sure they can't find out? Upon hearing this, Chen Yiking was momentarily stunned, then confidently said, the little princess can rest assured. Although my strength is indeed inferior to Lord Xia Hong, he can't possibly find out about me from just a few corpses. Chu Yanner's expression slightly tense, but thinking of Chen Yiking's abilities, her brow eventually relaxed, and she smiled. True, I've heard of Uncle Chen's skills too. No matter how strong Xia Hong is, it won't matter. Then I wish Uncle Chen all the best going forward. Little Commandery Princess, are you leaving? It's hard to get out of Chen Kang and look around outside. Naturally, I don't want to waste the opportunity. I'm very interested in Great Xia, and it's just right to visit as an outer realm person. It should be fine. Visiting Great Xia directly as an outer realm person. Chen Yiking pondered for a moment, looked at his younger brother Chen Yimu and the others, and immediately nodded, then instructed. Then, I also wish the little princess a smooth journey. I still have some matters to handle and must remain in Hongmen. Chen and the other 4 must ensure the safety of the little princess. If there's any emergency, you can contact me. Understood, brother. Chen Yimu immediately bowed and nodded in agreement. He, along with He Yang, Chu Dongning and Zhu Dong, were originally on this trip to protect Chu Yanner. You are Huinger, you must also protect the little princess. Got it, Dad. We will never let anyone harm the little princess. Even if we have to risk our lives, we will protect the little princess. Seeing the 2 sons eager to show off in front of Chu Yanner, Chen Yiking couldn't help but internally shake his head repeatedly. He's been around long enough to see through their affection for Chu Yanner. With Chu Yanner's family background, if it were possible, he would certainly be happy to see it happen. The problem is, with his experience, he can see at a glance that Chu Yanner isn't interested in either of his sons. Maybe in time, something might happen. If one of you really brings a princess home as a wife, it would be a blessing for a lifetime. Dad, you're amazing, you're amazing. You just chased away that Yang Zhen from Beishuo with a punch. In the side hall on the top floor of the Hongmen government building, Xia Hong had just walked in when he was greeted by his excitable little son, Xia Yusheng, who slammed into his arms. Xia Yusheng was not only excited but also highly emotional. Even while being held in his arms, he was still gesturing, repeating the moves of defeating Yang Zhen just now in the sky. Dad, your back is bleeding. Does it hurt? Does it hurt? The usually lively Xia Yuya was much calmer at this moment. She directly walked behind Xia Hong, reached out to touch his back wound, and upon seeing how deep it was, tears immediately started flowing. Ah Yao will blow on it to make it not hurt, boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. The eldest daughter's compassion clearly outshined the others. You rascal, all you care about is how strong I am in a fight. Xia Hong playfully patted his son's bottom, hurriedly turning to embrace his crying eldest daughter. "Ayao, don't cry, Dad doesn't hurt. Let's have your mother bandage it up, it'll be fine soon. No crying, okay? If you cry, Dad will feel bad, and when I feel bad the wound bleeds more and heals slower." Upon hearing this, his eldest daughter Xia Yuyo immediately raised her hand to cover her mouth, her big, watery eyes fixed nervously on Xia Hong, as if genuinely worried he might feel bad. "Halasa." Seeing his daughter's adorable expression, Xia Hong couldn't help but laugh heartily. Chapter 12:17. Chapter 408. The aging Li Tiancheng, a powerful core team, hidden intentions, fusion of the three towns. "Hurry and put them down, I'll bandage you up." Li Xuanling rushed over with Han Shuang and the other maids from the side chamber, first asking Xia Hong to lay the child down. She then personally helped him take off his shirt and used a cloth-made bandage to wrap up the wound on his back. Seeing her face full of worry, a warm feeling surged through Xia Hong's heart. He smiled and said, "It's all right, Yang Zhen can't break my bones, it's just flesh wounds. I've already taken the blood-returning pill, and I'll recover in at most half a month." Li Xuanling immediately gave him a look, confirmed that the bandage was tight, then turned to signal Han Shuang and the others to have him change into the prepared clothes. "The Lord's strength is extraordinary, this old man is impressed." An elder with white hair and beard also walked out from the inner chamber. His face was still full of amazement, clearly still engrossed in the incident between Xia Hong and the Lord of the Six Towns. Only upon walking up to Xia Hong did he remember, hurriedly bowing in greeting. "Old Li, you're too kind, no need for such ceremony." The elder's body was slightly hunched, and Xia Hong, of course, didn't let him bow, quickly stepping forward to help him up. Seeing the wrinkles on the elder's face becoming more pronounced, he couldn't help but sigh inwardly. This elder was none other than Li Xuanling's second uncle, Li Tiancheng. During the Cold Yuan Festival in the third year of Dazia, he was appointed as the prison department director. In just over 2 months, Li Tiancheng not only established the structure of the prison department, but also introduced the first edition of Xia law, perfectly filling the absence of a penal code in Great Xia. The first edition of Xia law significantly reduced the crime rate, which had been rising sharply in Xia City due to the incorporation of the Longyu population. As the second and third editions of Xia law were continually improved, they provided a solid foundation for the continuous population growth of Xia City. The population of Xia City has now exceeded 2 million, and Xia Hong hadn't focused much on specific matters within the city for a long time. He could only gauge the current state of Xia City through macro data such as crime rates, homicide frequency, the number of unsolved cases, and the frequency of disturbances. Judging from this data and his occasional secret visits to the outer city, the prison department has done quite well over the past 5 years. Xia Hong believes even if he personally handled it, he might not do as well as Li Tiancheng. What does it mean to have an elder at home? It's like having a treasure. Li Tiancheng is the perfect embodiment of these 8 words. The only slight flaw is his age. Li Tiancheng is already 95 this year. In the first 2 years of serving as the prison department director, he personally handled everything. Whether it was within Xia City or at external posts, if there was any homicide or unsolved case, he would personally take people to investigate. By the 3rd year, which is the 5th year of Dazia, he was clearly starting to struggle. Not only did he hand over the Longyuan squad he had personally created to Lu Yushin, but he also delegated most of the responsibilities in the prison department to the senior prison warden Hu Ming, whom he had trained himself. He stayed in the inner city, focusing solely on studying and perfecting Xia law. Besides occasionally bringing some things to visit his 2 grandchildren at the star-picking hall, he mostly stayed reclusive. It is only natural that with advancing age, one's energy cannot keep up. Li Tiancheng managed the affairs of the prison department very well, hardly ever encountering any issues. Xia Hong certainly would not blame him for anything. In fact, when Xia Hong summoned everyone in Great Xia to Hongmen City, he specifically mentioned that Li Tiancheng didn't have to come. Li Tiancheng heard that his 2 grandchildren were coming too, worried about their safety, and volunteered to come. Just a moment ago, he didn't go out but stayed with Li Xuanling, accompanying the 2 children. Basic strength is still 23 main, no, it has slightly decreased. While pondering, Xia Hong assessed Li Tiancheng and his face slightly darkened. Li Tiancheng is a superior battle body. His qualifications are actually not bad. By the 2nd year of Dazia, he had already reached peak cold resistance cultivation with the strength of 17 mained. Unfortunately, in the earlier years of Xia, no Dan medicine had been developed for enhancing the strength of those at the peak of cold resistance level, so Li Tiancheng's strength essentially remained unchanged during those years. It was only after last year when the camp's supply department added dragon carp and green cod to the Dan medicines that Li Tiancheng, along with others with peak cold resistance cultivation in Great Xia, had the opportunity to continue strengthening. In May of this year, Xia Hong saw Li Tiancheng, and he remembered clearly that Li Tiancheng's strength was almost reaching 24 mained at the time, but now it has obviously declined slightly. This means that Li Tiancheng is getting too old, and the state of his flesh is beginning to enter a period of decline. Simply put, his lifespan is reaching its limit. It's said that those with cold resistance level have a lifespan of 100, but few actually live past 100. Li Tiancheng living to this age is already quite remarkable. Recalling how Li Xuanling has been frequently taking Yu Yao and Yu Sheng to visit Li Tiancheng since last year, Xia Hong sighed slightly and said softly, "Old Li should focus on closing himself off in Xia City. If you break through to the Xianyang level, your lifespan would double. Isn't there time to accompany your 2 grandchildren then?" Hearing Xia Hong's words, Li Xuanling immediately gave Li Tiancheng a reproachful look and said, "That's right. Second uncle, I told you not to come, but you insisted. The only thing you should be focusing on now is staying at the camp to cultivate and quickly breaking through to the Xianyang level to solve the lifespan issue." Hearing their words, Li Tiancheng immediately showed a wry smile and shook his head, saying, "There's no need, Lord and Madam, to comfort me. This old man's flesh is already entering a decline, so breaking through is hopeless. Rather than wasting time on cultivation, I'd rather spend more time with my 2 grandchildren." Chapter 12:18. Chapter 408. The aged Li Tiancheng, a powerful team, the real intention behind the move, merger of 3 towns Part 2. After speaking, he bent down, touched Xia Yuyao and Xia Yusheng's foreheads, a face full of affection. "Yes, yes, yes, Ah Yao loves Grandpa the most. Grandpa should spend more time with me. Shenger also loves Grandpa the most. I also want to spend more time with Grandpa." The 2 little ones were only 5 years old after all. They didn't even understand what longevity was. Naturally, they couldn't grasp the deeper meaning behind Li Tiancheng's words. They only knew that Grandpa often brought them delicious treats and fun things. Hearing Li Tiancheng say he would spend more time with them, they were overjoyed. "Ha ha ha, yes, Grandpa loves you too." The childish voices of the 2 children made Li Tiancheng laugh heartily. He squatted down, picked them up one in each arm, and ran around in circles with them, making the 2 children laugh with joy. In the heartwarming scene of grandfather and grandchildren playing, Xia Hong first smiled slightly, then quietly reached out his hand to gently pat the back of Li Xuanling, whose eyes were red with tears, and whispered close to her ear to comfort her. "The heavenly yang fruit from Jiaolong Nest should soon be refined into a spirit pill. Your second uncle still has hope for a breakthrough, and I will make a trip to Kaiku feudal town in a while to see if there is any spirit pill to increase longevity." Upon hearing this, Li Xuanling's eyes immediately filled with hope. She turned to look at Xia Hong and nodded vigorously, saying, "Okay." Having been married for more than 5 years, the couple's relationship was already deep, and words of thanks naturally didn't come out. Seeing Li Xuanling's hopeful expression and realizing how much she anticipated it, Xia Hong felt a bit overwhelmed, quickly turning his gaze aside and saying, "All right, come with me outside. Let's not keep the people in the main hall waiting too long." "Almost forgot the important matter, Lord. I shall take my leave first." Hearing Xia Hong's words, Li Tiancheng immediately put the 2 kids down, clasped his hands to say goodbye to the 2, and left the side hall first. "You go, I'll stay here with the 2 kids." "No need take the 2 kids with me. Everyone is here today. It's good to let them meet people." Hearing Xia Hong's words, Li Xuanling was stunned for a moment and asked in return, "Aren't there people from other towns too? Take both of them out." Xia Hong waved his hand, his eyes revealing a dominance. "Do you think that after today's events in all of the 8 towns of Mo South Slope, anyone would dare to lay a hand on the 2 of them? Not just the 8 towns, even Kaiku feudal town would have to think twice." Although Xia Hong did not speak this sentence aloud, the tacit understanding between the couple quickly let Li Xuanling see it in his eyes. She couldn't help but roll her eyes at him first. Then after contemplating for a moment, she quickly nodded in agreement. There are only 2 outsiders in the main hall, and given their status and their current relations with the great Xia, they wouldn't spread rumors indiscriminately. There shouldn't be much of an issue. Yar Shenger, when you go in later, just sit next to Mother. Don't speak randomly, and don't move around, understand? Understood, Mother. Hearing that Xia Hong was taking them to the main hall, and they could meet many people they've never seen before, Xia Yuyao and Xia Yusheng could barely contain their excitement. They were worried that their mother, Li Xuanling, would not agree, so they immediately agreed in unison when Li Xuanling stated her requirements. Haha, then let's go. Xia Hong directly picked up the two of them, and with Li Xuanling headed toward the adjacent part of the side hall. The side hall they were in was located at the back of the main hall, with an interior corridor connected to the back of the main seat of the main hall, so before they even took a few steps, they could hear the sounds inside the main hall. 12 Beast Kings, the Lord has such means. That 6 Towns Lord's face turned pale with fright, haha. I say, the 12 Beast Kings only win in numbers. Our Lord's strength is truly unfathomable. Had it not been for Yang Zhen's strange movement technique, today's battle wouldn't have been simple defeat. What strange movement technique? If it weren't for Shang Yuan Yang and Qin Feng stepping in to interfere, Yang Zhen would surely be dead today. Right, I forgot about that. The Lord's strength clearly crushes Yang Zhen. Those 2 town lords have truly lost their minds. They dare to attack the minister and Yuan director. The Lord's roar was so grand for our great Xia. Ha ha ha, the way that 6 towns lords slunk away in the end, I fear I'll never forget it. Dream on to think any dirt would stick to our great Xia. It was just after nightfall. The events of the day were indeed invigorating, and within the main hall, the people of Great Xia were still fervently discussing it. Step. Xia Hong did not intentionally make his step louder, but the moment he entered the main hall carrying the 2 children, the fervent discussions came to an abrupt halt. As silence engulfed the entire hall, plunging it into a complete stillness, the footsteps of Xia Hong and Li Xuanling naturally became strikingly profound. As Xia Hong carried the 2 children, leading Li Xuanling, slowly coming out from behind the main seat, over 600 cold resistance-level soldiers of Great Xia, adorned in 1,000-forged thunder QE golden armor, each holding various weapons, with an incomparably solemn demeanor, standing in neat order, their expressions froze for a moment. But they quickly understood, their gazes instantly focused on the 2 children in Xia Hong's arms, faces full of curiosity. Soon the curiosity on everyone's face solidified, followed by disbelief. After carefully inspecting, seemingly confirming something, their faces filled with shock and awe, finally turning into deep joy. Chapter 12:19, Chapter 408, The Aging Li Tiancheng, A Powerful Team, Hidden Motives and the Fusion of 3 Towns, Part 3. At this moment in the Great Hall, there are not only over 600 armored cold resistance-level warriors, but also 3 people in casual attire sitting in chairs at the front row, namely Xiang Fuhai, Murong Chui, and Zai Hu Zhang. When Xia Hong's family of 4 came out, their expressions clearly froze. Not to mention Murong Chui and Zai Hu Zhang, even Xiang Fuhai, who had stayed in Xia City for over 4 months, was seeing Xia Hong's wife and children for the first time. Like the rest of the 600 people in the Great Hall, they immediately noticed Li Xuanling's cultivation, and then looked at the 2 children in Xia Hong's arms. Thunk. Since Murong Chui and Zai Hu Zhang were sitting in chairs, their bodies shook suddenly, and they immediately made a clanging sound. Amidst the observation of the crowd, Xia Hong had already taken a seat with Li Xuanling, holding his 2 children and sitting in the main seat, while Li Xuanling sat in the adjacent seat. As soon as the 4 of them sat down, Xia Chuan immediately led the 8 departments director, and bowed respectfully towards the main seat. Subordinates, greet the Lord, greet the lady, greet the 2 little lords. More than 200 people in the main hall immediately bowed respectfully as well, saying, We greet the Lord, greet the lady, greet the 2 little lords. Clang! Everyone in Great Xia was wearing war armor today, and the sound of friction was quite loud with so many people bowing at once. Moreover, when Xia Chuan and others performed the ritual, they clearly deliberately stimulated their vital energy, and the 600 at the back followed their example, also stimulating their vital energy. It's worth noting, this time to intimidate the 6 towns, Xia Hong had summoned all of Great Xia's elites to Hongmen City, and among these people, those qualified to come to the top floor of the ministry building to see him had highly noteworthy identities. At this moment, in the Great Hall of over 600 people, Their positions are arranged according to the official ranks of Great Xia. The front is Summer Minister Xia Chuan, followed by Yuan Dao, Qiu Peng, Yuan Cheng, Su Ning, Luo Yuan, Hu Jing, Li Tiancheng, Mu Dong, Cheng Feng, Bai Dongying, Zhu Yuan. 11 directors or deputy directors of the 8 departments, the 12 currently only third rank or higher officials in Great Xia. In the middle are Yue Feng, Lin Kai, Lu Yang, Liu Yuan, Li Yuankun, Su and Zhao Long, Zhao Hu, Zhao Bao Shiping, Ying Yitong, Xinglong, Su Shicheng, Hang Tian, Hang Gang, Hang Guang, Hu Quan, Hu Tong, Yuan Yang, Meng Yi, Bai Wuding, Lin Fan, Zhu Shun, Wang Tao, Zhao Qincheng, etc., over 200 people, are either directors of the 8 departments in various districts of Xia City or at major stations, or army commanders or vice commanders, all 4th rank and 5th rank officials of Great Xia. Finally, the largest part with over 400 people, Zhu Xing, Wang Yuan, Hu Ming, Zhang Jieling, Yuan Shan, Yuan Ning, Lu Yushan, Liu Cheng, Tong Xingsheng, Hu Ying, Hu Bing, Hu Ming, Lin Yi, Zhou Yuan, Cheng He, Zhang Qingyuan, Lu Yin. Either deputy directors of the 8 departments or defense envoys, otherwise colonels in the army, at minimum occupying important positions in the 8 departments of Xia City, with a small portion being 5th rank, and the majority being 6th and 7th rank officials. These over 600 people are the core, elites currently supporting the entire realm of Great Xia in every aspect. The Ice Abyss's foundation of respecting power will never change, so in Great Xia's personnel appointments, capability and strength are evenly balanced, which is why Xia Hong frequently reminds Mu Dong and Cheng Feng to focus on enhancing their personal strength. This also means that anyone who can secure an official position in Great Xia will certainly not have weak strength. Xia Hong only needed a slight sensation of their aura to understand the strength of over 600 people present. The further back, the weaker the strength, but even the weakest has basic strength above 15 zong, with a few surpassing 20 zong. In the middle region, over 200 people have relatively large strength ranges, with people like Yue Feng, Lin Kai, the Zhao brothers who have strengths exceeding or nearing 30 zong, and others like Zhao Qingcheng, Lin Fan with over 20 zong, but it's certain that none have strength below 20 zong. Whereas the 12 at the front have polarizing strengths, with strong ones like Xia Chuan at 41 zong, Yuan Dao nearing 40 zong, and Yuan Cheng, Lu Yang, Su Ning, having received the master's organ, now slowly catching up with 2 at 39 zong and 1 at 36 zong, whereas the weakest Mu Dong astonishingly only has 18 zong strength. Over 600 people with strengths of 15 zong or above deliberately stirred their vital energy to speak, and not only this main hall, but the entire ministry building shook violently. The commotion was secondary, but the key was that so many people, even just speaking, caused the concentrated vital energy to create an alarming shock force. It is nighttime, and many coal furnaces are lit on both sides of the hall. As the air stirred, the furnace flames instantly grew stronger, raising the hall's temperature by several degrees abruptly. Both Xia Yuyo and Xia Yusheng were experiencing such a scene for the first time, but their reaction, however, slightly surprised Xia Hong. Both had their little faces tense. Xia Yusheng instinctively tightened his grasp on Xia Hong's left arm, looking slightly nervous, while Xia Yuya was also nervous, though visibly more excited, her big eyes bold in examining the people at the front. Xia Hong patted her little head, slightly raising his brows. He did not signal for those in the hall to rise, but gently turned his head to look at the 3 people still steadily sitting in the chairs to the left. A simple gesture did not necessarily need such a big motion. Xia Chuan deliberately did it, and Xia Hong knew clearly what the purpose was in his heart. Chapter 1220, Chapter 408, The Aged Li Tiancheng, A Powerful Foundation, Hidden Motives, and the Merger of the 3 Towns, Part 4. Xia Hong's questioning gaze was so blatant that Xiang Fuhai, Zai Hu Zhang, and Murong Chui naturally noticed it immediately. Greetings to the Lord, greetings to the lady, greetings to your highnesses. Xiang Fuhai was the first to stand up, his face even carrying a trace of unease and apprehension, clearly realizing he had just made a taboo mistake. He quickly bent over and saluted Xia Hong. But after he lowered his head, Xia Hong still did not speak, so he, like the other 600 people in the Grand Hall, continued to bow with his head down. The entire Grand Hall had only Zai Hu Zhang and Murong Chui left. They had long noticed Xia Hong's gaze, and their pupils still carried a trace of dissatisfaction. Seeing Xia Hong remain silent for so long and the 600 people in the hall all frozen in place, they exchanged a glance, and eventually their faces showed a hint of helplessness. Then they simultaneously rose from their chairs and bowed to Xia Hong. "Greetings to the great Xia Lord, greetings to the lady, greetings to your highnesses." Upon hearing their address, Xia Hong shook his head slightly but ultimately said nothing. With a smile, he waved his hand and said, "No need for such formalities, all of you rise." Clang! The more than 600 people finally stood upright. As Xiang Fuhai, Zai Huzhang, and Murong Chui stood up again, they turned to look at the chairs behind them but ultimately did not have the courage to sit down again. Since the new policies at Long Mountain, our people of Great Xia have not gathered like this for a long time. In the past, the most you could do was lead a hunting team, but in the blink of an eye, 6 years have passed. Now some of you govern a department, some administer a region, while others command a camp or an army. Even at the very least, you hold important positions in the 8 departments, which accounts for your high status and authority. As Xia Hong suddenly spoke these words with a tone of emotion, the crowd showed a few more signs of reminiscence on their faces. Seeing their expressions, he paused and then continued with a smile. "Speaking of which, you more than 600 people, some are from the mud slope period of Great Xia, others from Redwood Ridge, Huayuan, Northern Mountain, Longyu, Beiyuan. Some came willingly and integrated into Great Xia, others joined after their camps lost, and some were even forced to join by Great Xia. In summary, your origins vary greatly." Upon hearing Xia Hong talk about this, the expressions of the more than 600 people in the hall slightly changed, especially those like Hu Ming, Hu Quan, Hu Tong, Wang Tao, Wang Lai, who joined after the families in Longyu were defeated, even showing some tension. The last major population expansion should be counted as the second year of Great Xia, during that time in Longyu. If I remember correctly, the population suddenly increased from 140,000 to over 400,000. Among you more than 600 people, at least half should have joined Great Xia at that time, right? Correct, subordinate Li Tiancheng joined Great Xia during that round. Li Tiancheng, the oldest one, could see the situation most clearly. He seemed to have already sensed Xia Hong's intention and directly cupped his hands in response to Xia Hong. Subordinate Hu Quan also joined Great Xia that year. Subordinate Hu Tong as well. Subordinate Peng Bo as well. Subordinate Chen Yingyuan as well. Subordinate. In an instant, voices rose and fell throughout the hall. In over 20 breaths, at least more than 300 voices sounded one after another. Xia Hong did not interrupt them, only waited for the voices to gradually fade before slowly asking, "Let me ask you 300 people, having joined Great Xia for 6 years, have you ever regretted?" Never regret, if not for joining Great Xia. Subordinate Hu Quan could never have broken through to cold resistance level in this lifetime, let alone have the current strength of 25 zong. Not to mention my cultivation, if not for the Lord, my entire family would have died in Hankyang Gourd Valley 6 years ago. My 8 family members never forget the Lord's great kindness. Why would there be regret? Never regret, if not for joining Great Xia, I might be living day by day without certainty now, and who knows if I would have lived to this age. Never regret. Never regret. Subordinate never regrets. Everyone has a scale in their heart. Whether life is improving, whether the quality of life is rising, you can see and feel it. As long as you ask yourself, you immediately have the answer. Even if you say you don't care about these, you should at least care about whether your strength is improving. The 600 people present are the most powerful group in Great Xia right now. Among the nearly 2 million people in Great Xia, they are the ones who have benefited the most. Thus, facing Xia Hong's question, their responses are only natural. In the front, Xia Chuan, Yuan Cheng, Yuan Dao, and others showed no surprise on their faces, evidently considering it as expected. But the expressions of Xiang Fu, Zai Huzhang, and Murong Chui were different. They didn't understand Great Xia's situation as well. When the people in the grand hall were speaking one after another, their faces showed shock. Later, hearing people shout, "Never regret" with excitement, their pupils revealed more complexity. Not only did they possess Xianyang level cultivation, but they were also quite old. The youngest of them, Zai Huzhang, was nearly 100 years old. Age signifies experience and simultaneously signifies a robust ability to discern. They could hear the intense gratitude and relief contained within those voices. Of course, more importantly, they clearly understood that Xia Hong's current arrangement in the Grand Hall targeted precisely the 3 of them. Or rather, the 2 of them, only Murong Chui and Zai Huzhang. Chapter 1221, Chapter 408. The elderly Li Tiancheng, a powerful foundation, drunkards' hidden intentions, merger of 3 towns /5. The population of Bashing began migrating at the beginning of this month. Xiang Fuhai might feel unwilling, but despite his reluctance, he had to accept his fate. Just now, he was the first to rise and salute Xia Hong, directly addressing him as the Lord, which proves it. Good, with everyone's assurance I am at ease. This matter of Hongmen City, rather than a deterrent to the 6 towns, is more of a rectification. It's not just to show those scoundrels in the 6 towns, but also to let our own great Xia people see clearly what our great Xia's strength is after 6 years. So, what do you think? Did I let you down? Disappointment. How could anyone possibly be disappointed? Just now, Xia Hong defeated Yang Zhen, summoned 12 beast kings, and intimidated the lords of the 6 towns. The scene was deeply imprinted in everyone's mind. Long live the Lord, long live great Xia. Xia Chuan was the first to bow, answering Xia Hong with these 8 words. Long live the Lord, long live great Xia. Immediately, everyone followed suit, bowing and shouting together. The exuberant and enthusiastic atmosphere inside the hall even affected the 2 little ones, Xia Yuyao and Xia Yusheng, in Xia Hong's embrace. Long live Daddy, long live great Xia. They both looked up at their father with eyes full of admiration and reverence. Xia Yuyao couldn't help but clench her little fist and shout as well. Unfortunately, she was a bit late. As the voices inside the hall faded, she only then shouted out. Consequently, her clear and crisp voice echoed throughout the grand hall. Hadayohata. Hahata. The eldest is smart, knows when to join in. Hahata. The entire hall was immediately filled with laughter, and Xia Hong joined in the laughter. Even Li Xuanling, who was usually the strictest with the 2, couldn't maintain his composure. All right, since the matter of Hongmen is concluded, the 8 departments can resume operations. All station garrisons and defenders and all the departments and military and hunting teams should return to their places. Everything returns to normal. These specific matters, Xia Chuan, you lead the 8 departments director to arrange. Following orders. Xia Chuan immediately stood out with the 8 departments director, bowing to receive the orders. These specific matters, Xia Hong naturally wouldn't meddle in anymore. After explaining to Xia Chuan, he turned to look at Murong Chui and Zai Zhang on the left, with a smile on his face. He clasped his hands and said, "For the 2 lords to lend their aid to Hongmen, I am deeply grateful." Lord Xia Hong, you jest. Zai Zhang did nothing, how could he have aided Hongmen? I dare not receive such a grand gesture. With such strength in great Xia, there's no need for an old man like me to come aid. Zai Zhang and Murong Chui immediately clasped their hands in return, faces full of helplessness. Coming is the best said aid. To be honest, if the 2 of you hadn't come, I truly wouldn't know how to continue coexisting with Jiangxia and Mayan. Hearing Xia Hong's words with hidden implications, Murong Chui and Zai Zhang's hearts immediately sank, with a simultaneous hint of relief emerging in their eyes. Judging from the situation earlier in the day, if they hadn't come or stood with the other 6 towns, the outcome would probably not have been favorable. I understand both of you wish to revitalize Mayan and Jiangxia, but Mayan is too close to the northern 3 towns, with resource areas often invaded. Jiangxia was severely weakened after the battle at Daju Temple and hasn't yet recovered. Their ability to acquire resources is limited. I have a way that can help solve these issues for the 2 towns. Would you care to hear it? Upon hearing this, Zai Zhang and Murong Chui both inadvertently revealed a hint of wariness, but after contemplating for a moment, they nodded and clasped their hands towards Xia Hong. We are willing to hear more. 3 towns merge, resources shared. Henceforth your people of the 2 towns can hunt in all areas within the Great Xia territory, can purchase or exchange supplies freely at any camp supply department or even the camp supply headquarters within Great Xia, and may even join our Great Xia's hunting team. Of course, correspondingly, our camp's hunting team also enjoys the same rights, and the resource areas of Mayan and Jiangxia are also open to our Great Xia personnel simultaneously. How can this be possible? Lord Xia Hong. The 2 of you, stay calm and listen to me finish. Before Xia Hong could finish his words, Zai Zhang and Murong Chui responded with agitation. Seeing their faces full of resistance, Xia Hong showed no surprise. With the current strength of Mayan and Jiangxia, instead of saying it's a contribution of resource areas, it's more like their resource areas are being opened unilaterally to Great Xia. as their current strength is too busy handling their own resource areas, let alone thinking about coming into the Great Xia territory for hunting and gathering. I know the situation is difficult for your two towns, so I wouldn't bully you like this. Therefore, the condition for shared resource areas is that whenever Great Xia personnel hunt and gather there, they must turn over 10% of their income to your two towns. How about it? Upon hearing this sentence, Zai Huzhang and Murong Chui's expressions immediately turned intrigued. 10% is a bit low, Lord Xia Hong. Our Mayans' hunting areas have been compressed too much by Wuchuan. The situation is indeed very difficult. Indeed, Lord Xia Hong, could it be increased slightly? You know the situation in Jiangxia. Currently, the entire camp's cold resistance level is barely 2,000, and there are hardly any hunting teams left. Knowing how to bargain is a good sign. All right, since the two of you are interested, Xia Chuan and Qiu Peng will handle the discussions with you. Xia Hong gave Zai Huzhang and Murong Chui no chance to refuse, and after speaking, he stood up with the two children in his arms. Li Xuanling beside him immediately stood up with him. All right then, I have something to attend to. You continue with your discussions. Everyone didn't expect Xia Hong to leave so soon, and they immediately bowed to salute. Farewell to the Lord, farewell to the lady, farewell to the two princes. Chapter 1222, Chapter 409, Two Towns in Crisis, the Longyu Model, Golden Order Prison Warden, Lin Kai's reminder. Population is the cornerstone and foundation of all camps. The number of logging realm, earth-digging realm, cold resistance level, and even Xianyang level powerhouses is the core support for the continuous development and growth of a camp. No matter how the camp develops, this logic always applies. Hunting and gathering resources for survival and cultivation, maintaining one's security and development, competing with other camps, and resisting the invasions of cold beasts and deceitful monsters. All these tasks ultimately depend on people to complete. These people have different roles. Logging realm can gather resources, earth-digging realm can mine and hunt, cold resistance level can hunt intermediate and advanced cold beasts, and the top Xianyang level of the 9 towns can hunt advanced or even Beast King level cold beasts, while also venturing into more dangerous areas to obtain more advanced resources. The seemingly least useful ordinary people are the cradle for nurturing the former 4. If any one of these 5 aspects fails, the camp will fall into a developmental or survival crisis. Unfortunately, both Jiangxia and Mayan are currently facing problems on all fronts. Of course, the survival issue of the two towns has already been resolved by the Great Xia. With the Great Xia's dominant position at the Mo South Slope, and the two towns actively assisting Hongmen, unless the two towns self-destruct, the 6 towns would certainly not have the courage to make a move against them. The survival issue is resolved, but the development crisis still remains. In Jiangxia, after half a year of battle with Daju Temple, even the Lord Jiang Yinglong died in battle. As for cold resistance level and earth-digging realm, it goes without saying that overall losses for people in these cultivation stages exceed 60%. The Great Xia roughly estimates that Jiangxia currently has less than 2,000 at cold resistance level, slightly better at earth-digging realm, with about 70,000. Regarding Mayan's development crisis, it probably started 4 years ago after the death of the former Lord Murong Ding, facing external aggression and oppression from the northern 3 towns, and internal strife between the first and second houses. The town has been engulfed in internal and external troubles, and if the Great Xia hadn't intervened at the end of April, Mayan would have long been history in the Mo South Slope. Mayan town is now preserved, but internal strife in the town has worsened the already damaging situation over the past 4 consecutive years. As for the Xianyang level powerhouses, since 4 years ago they're solely supported by Murong Chui. The northern 3 towns don't even regard Mayan as a town of the same level. Murong Yan died, Murong Chui took over, and the Murong family's first house, along with those loyal to it, have either died or fled. The cold resistance level in the entire town shrank to just 1,500 people. Earth-digging realm has only over 50,000, worse than Jiangxia. It's understandable when thinking about it. Mayan has been internally consuming resources for 4 years, worsening an already dire situation. Plus, the northern 3 towns are right on the border. Even if they do nothing, many from Mayan would still flock to them. In short, given the current situation of the 2 towns, maintaining the town's dignity is out of the question, and ensuring the normal supply of cultivation resources is even more difficult. This was evident in the conflict that broke out in He Yin village in July between Jiangxia and the great Xia hunting teams. During the Hongmen banquet at the end of April, Xia Hong made decisive moves, reallocating Baisong and Zhaoyang, originally shared between Chui Mountain and Dragon Valley, to Jiangxia, then had Jiangxia cede Peak Mountain and Longzhou to Dragon Valley as compensation. The redistribution plan proposed by Xia Hong at the Hongmen banquet succeeded, partly due to strength, but deeper logic lies beneath. Firstly, the greatest loss was Chui Mountain Town, losing both Bashing and Baisong, then Beishuo, which originally acquired Juk only to have it seized by the great Xia. Yang maintained Qing Valley, effectively suffering no loss. Dragon Valley traded Zhaoyang for Peak Mountain and Longzhou, even gaining, needless to mention Jiangxia. As for Jin Mountain and Wuchuan towns, they are too far from Bashing to be interested in that territory, and most importantly, both towns are happy to see Beishuo suffer losses at the great Xia's hands. In essence, among the 8 towns, 5 benefit from this redistribution. Yang neither gains nor loses, leaving only Beishuo and Chui Mountain at a disadvantage. This is the confidence behind Xia Hong's courage to redistribute Bashing's territory. Unfortunately, few see it this way. Most at Mo South Slope believe the 8 towns were coerced by the great Xia's power and reluctantly agreed. This perception suits Xia Hong perfectly, as he was thinking of ways to boost great Xia's prestige and intimidate the 8 towns. Going back, the primary reason Xia Hong initially allocated Baisong to Jiangxia was that Baisong Camp is located near Mo Mountain, with over 60 kilometers of mountain entrance on both the north and south. From then, he had planned to obtain the entrance to Mo Mountain range from Jiangxia, leading to the subsequent acquisition of He Yin village in July. Originally, Jiangxia had over 70 kilometers of territory along Mo Mountain. With the acquisition of Baisong Camp, their territory expanded by over 60 kilometers, and even after ceding 20 kilometers along He Yin village to the Great Xia, they still had 110 kilometers, ranking first in the 9 towns in terms of territory along Mo Mountain. Jiangxia now has over 2,000 at cold resistance level, over 70,000 at earth-digging realm, and the number of hunting teams compared to Great Xia is pitifully small. Reasonably speaking, they shouldn't need to hunt in areas near He Yin village in the south, given such abundant hunting regions within their 110-kilometer territory, let alone end up clashing with the Great Xia's hunting teams. Chapter 1223, Chapter 409, The Dilemma of Two Towns, the Longyu Model, the Golden Order Prison Warden, Lin Kai's Reminder /2. The only explanation is that Jiangxia is under immense hunting pressure, so much so that their low, middle, and high-level hunting teams have almost all been mobilized, using the entire 110-kilometer area along Mo Mountain, and hunting with extreme frequency. Otherwise, with Jiangxia's limited number of hunting teams led by Baisong, they wouldn't often run into the Great Xia's hunting teams in the snow forest. Many things in the world are interconnected. A camp that is healthily and normally developing has its own set hunting frequency. Just like the Great Xia Hunting Department, which has set fixed monthly hunting quotas for all low, middle, and high-level hunting teams under its jurisdiction. These quotas are not randomly set. Hunting incurs losses and inevitably involves personnel casualties, which means the pressure capacity of the hunting personnel must also be considered. After all, hunting teams are made up of living individuals, and you cannot send them out to hunt endlessly without limits, right? Therefore, if any camp suddenly faces increased hunting and gathering pressure, it's basically for one reason. The camp's resource reserves are insufficient. In other words, the supply system is malfunctioning. The benefits of one person going out hunting and gathering normally, whether daily or monthly, are surely positively related to personal strength. So generally, the number of people that an earth-digging realm or a cold resistance level can support, and the cultivation resources they can provide to the camp, have a general quantitative figure. This is the so-called supply system. The Great Xia Camp has been developing for nearly 10 years now, and since Xia Hong, the Lord, pays close attention to the camp's macro data, he had already assigned Civil Affairs Department Director Zhu Yuan to research and validate this data. Of course, there are numerous variables, such as whether the surrounding environment is stable, the risk levels of hunting areas, the quality of life, the camp's production conversion capabilities, the enhancement of the team's collaborative hunting and gathering abilities, and so on. After comprehensively considering these factors, Zhu Yuan, taking Great Xia as an example, concluded that, on average, An earth-digging realm, depending on strength, can support about 5 to 20 people, and over 30 is quite difficult. The cold resistance level can support 30 to 100 people. This is the approximate data derived from the current stage of Great Xia and cannot be directly applied to other camps, but it at least holds some reference value. According to the latest information from Great Xia, to compensate for last year's war losses, Jiangxia has been continuously moving people from surrounding village-level camps to the town since May this year. The town's total population has now surpassed 900,000. With less than 2,000 cold resistance level individuals and more than 70,000 earth-digging realm members needing to support over 900,000 people. This is the core reason why Jiangxia's hunting pressure has dramatically increased. Xia Hong even received secret reports saying that Lord Zaihu Zhang carries a big saber every night to the depths of Mo Mountain to hunt advanced cold beasts. This alone proves how dire Jiangxia's current situation is. Similarly, Mayan is not much better. Like Jiangxia, to restore the population, Murong Chui also started moving people from village-level camps within his territory to the town in May this year. The total population of Mayan town has now exceeded 750,000. With more than 1,500 cold resistance level individuals and over 40,000 earth-digging realm members supporting 750,000 people, Mayan's situation is even worse than Jiangxia's. Support here does not mean merely providing sustenance. If it was just about providing a mouthful of food to keep people alive, it wouldn't be a difficult task for the town. Support here means giving everyone a chance to cultivate and grow stronger, to have a decent life, allowing the town to sustainably develop in a healthy manner, not increasing the natural population growth rate, but at least maintaining it, not allowing it to fall. If it falls into negative numbers, then the town is equivalent to dying a slow death. In such a situation, wouldn't Jiangxia and Mayan be anxious? Of course, they're as anxious as ants on a hot pan. Precisely because of knowing this pain point of the two towns, Xia Hong dared to propose the integration of the three towns and shared resource areas at this time. If no conditions were attached and integration was directly proposed, it would clearly seem like Great Xia was bullying the two towns. Given the current situation of Jiangxia and Mayan, it's impossible for them to send people to collect and hunt in Great Xia's resource areas. But with the condition of taking a share from the hunting teams, it's completely different. From the perspective of the two towns, they don't need to do anything. They just need to open the resource areas in the mountain pass, allowing them to extract income from Great Xia's hunting teams. This is a business with guaranteed profit and no loss. As for Xia Hong's initial proposal, which allowed people from both towns to freely exchange and purchase supplies from Great Xia's camp supply department, their immediate refusal showed that they clearly understood Xia Hong's intent. This is equivalent to Great Xia publicly trying to win over people from both towns. It's unsurprising that even if Zaihu Zhang and Murong Chui don't dare refuse Xia Hong, they will surely impose restrictions on their subordinates when they return. However, whether these restrictions will be effective ultimately depends on the loyalty of the cold resistance level and earth-digging realm in those towns. Murong Chui and Zaihu Zhang both clearly know how important this share income is to the two towns, so they engaged in a lengthy verbal battle with Xia Chuan and Qiu Peng, ultimately raising the initially set 1% by Xia Hong to 2%. The two of them were even initially aiming to push it as high as 2.5%. However, Qiu Peng angrily threatened to find Xia Hong to have the three towns' integration decision withdrawn. Although Zaihu Zhang and Murong Chui could see through Qiu Peng's act, given the urgency of this collaboration, which was more pressing for the two towns than for Great Xia, they ultimately agreed. Chapter 1224, Chapter 409, The Dilemma of Two Towns, the Longyu Model, Golden Order Prison Warden, Lin Kai's Reminder. Originally, I thought it would require 30%, didn't expect we could save some, hahaha. After sending off Zaihu Zhang and Murong Chui, Qiu Peng's anger vanished instantly, and he turned around to walk back into the hall, looking at Xia Chuan above. His face was full of smile. Of the more than 600 people in the hall, only a little over 30 remained. Upon hearing Qiu Peng's words, everyone realized he had been acting and couldn't help but smile. A business that yields huge profits, even if they get 0.5%, they are making money. If it weren't for the smooth merging of these two towns later, how could the Lord possibly give them such favor? I hope these two will understand after they return. Upon hearing Xia Chuan's words, Qiu Peng immediately nodded and said with a slight vibration in his voice, "According to the Lord's plan, as long as these two towns agree to merge, being annexed by our great Xia will just be a matter of time." Upon hearing this, everyone in the hall immediately became excited. Yuan Cheng, who was more impatient, felt a thrill for a moment, then suddenly remembered something and looked at Xia Chuan to ask, "Annexing Mayan Jiangxia is no longer a problem, but what about the other 6 towns? Minister, the Lord should have plans for the 6 towns as well, right?" "Of course." Upon hearing Yuan Cheng's question, Xia Chuan recalled previous conversations with Xia Hong, turned to look at everyone in the hall and replied softly, "Long Yu model. Long Yu model." Yuan Dao, Qiu Peng, Yuan Cheng, Li Tiancheng, and more than 30 other people in the hall, upon hearing these 4 words, immediately lowered their heads and fell into deep thought. Li Tiancheng was the first among them to react. He looked up at Xia Chuan and asked, "Does the Lord intend to imitate the time of Long Yu, using the pretext of jointly resisting external enemies to ally with the 6 towns, letting Great Xia become the leader of Mo South Slope just like Long Mountain back then?" He was originally from Long Mountain, and Li Tiancheng himself was an executor of the Long Yu model, so he immediately understood the meaning of Xia Hong's 4 words. He started, and everyone else suddenly saw the light and immediately understood. Yuan Dao nodded heavily, agreeing. The banner of jointly resisting external enemies, whenever raised, is never passé. Especially now, the Mo South Slope territory should apply even more than the Long Yu of those days. Cough, cough. Li Tiancheng felt somewhat embarrassed upon hearing this statement, and promptly coughed lightly twice. He naturally understood the meaning in Yuan Dao's words. Back then, when Long Mountain raised the banner of resisting external enemies, Long Yu didn't really have any strong enemies, but even so, 11 giant camps obediently followed orders. Now, in Mo South Slope territory, there are genuinely strong foes from the outer domain coveting this place. As long as the 6 towns understand this point, Great Xia raising this banner shouldn't encounter significant issues. Moreover, the 6 towns are probably aware of the Kaiku feudal town. Great Xia has truly set foot in the 9 towns territory for only 5 years, but can trace the fox's tail of Kaiku feudal town through faint clues. How could the 6 towns, having been here for decades, know nothing about Kaiku? Kaiku feudal town is still hidden in the dark and hasn't surfaced. If our Great Xia directly initiates a war now and annexes the 6 towns, it might easily provoke the other party. Even if successful in the end, we'll be easily deprived of our victory. The Lord's use of the Long Yu model to slowly approach is wise. Su Ning thought even deeper, and as soon as he spoke, the crowd immediately fell silent, then slowly revealed a touch of surprise on their faces. Indeed, we have only caught a Kaiku so far. Who knows if there are stronger ones hidden secretly? We definitely cannot rush things, and rashly initiating a war may push the 6 towns to unite again with destructive internal strife, ultimately benefiting others. Didn't the Lord say that the matter of Hongmen City today was caused by someone setting us up, apparently to provoke internal strife among the 9 towns of Southern Slope? Now I'm somewhat suspicious, thinking it might be the Kaiku feudal town that did this. Upon hearing Lin Kai's guess, a peculiar light immediately crossed Xia Chuan's eyes. This round of population migration in Bashing will end at the end of the month. By then, Xia City's total population will soar to over 2.5 million. Completely assimilating this population will take a long time, not to mention upcoming matters involving Jiangxia and Mayan towns, so there's no rush regarding the 6 towns. Kaiku feudal town is in the north, and having northern 3 towns up front is beneficial to us. Next, we must endeavor to create an alliance among the 9 towns, first putting a restraint on the 6 towns, to prevent them from turning to Kaiku or other outer domain forces. Precisely. This is the true intention behind the Lord proposing the Long Yu model. I see, now I understand. After hearing Xia Chuan's final words, everyone suddenly realized the true meaning behind Xia Hong proposing the Long Yu model. Therefore, next, we need to fully expose the matter of Kaiku feudal town to make everyone on Mo Mountain South Slope wary, preferably resentful, so we can rally for resisting external enemies and regardless of coercing or persuading. We must unfold the 9 towns' covenant, ensuring none of them turn to outer domain forces. Yuan Dao directly stated the next step. The crowd's faces immediately sparkled. Isn't there just such a matter? Su Ning suddenly spoke. Others were initially somewhat unsure, but upon seeing him cast his gaze on Yuan Cheng, Yuan Dao, and Qiu Peng, they immediately realized, their faces full of joy. Exactly. We can conveniently pin the death of the Three Towns Chamber of Commerce members on Kai Qiu. Yang Zhen said in person during the day that he too suspects someone is secretly stirring up issues among the 9 towns. Transfer this blame to Kai Qiu, it fits perfectly. Chapter 1225. Chapter 409. 2 Prefecture Predicaments Long Yu Model, Golden Order Prison Warden, Lin Kai's Reminder Part 4. What do you mean by taking the blame? It's obviously the Kai Qiu people who did it. Yes, yes, yes. Upon hearing the last of Su Ning's words, everyone nodded repeatedly, faces full of smiles. Even Xia Chuan, sitting at the top, showed a clear expression of intrigue on his face. Indeed, whether it was the Kai Qiu people or not, making them bear the blame now is truly fitting. Expose the Kai Qiu feudal town and their ambitious schemes thoroughly, and incite the 8 towns, wariness towards outer realm forces, aligning with Xia Hong's plan for the Longyu model, using the pretext of a united front against foreign enemies to forge an alliance among the 9 towns. Even if we indeed want to falsely accuse Kai Qiu, we must first investigate the deaths of the 3 towns Chamber of Commerce thoroughly. Others may be careless, but we cannot be. The Lord declared in front of so many people from the 8 towns that the matter must be thoroughly investigated. If we falsely accuse first, only for someone to overturn the case later, wouldn't that ruin the Lord's authority? How can great Xia gain trust from others in the future? Li Tiancheng's voice, though elderly, was exceptionally resolute. After his words were finished, everyone present slightly stiffened and then fell into contemplation. Xia Chuan immediately came to his senses, the intrigue on his face vanished instantly. Looking at Li Tiancheng, he expressed gratitude. Thank you, old Li, for the reminder. I almost made a mistake. He was not against falsely accusing them, but against doing so without first getting to the truth. The difference between these approaches is substantial. Clarifying the truth before framing is evidently wiser than indiscriminately framing. The former half ensures an ironclad case, while the latter easily leads to problems. Should anyone overturn the case in the future, the damage to the Lord's reputation and great Xia's dignity would be a major issue, worse than simply damaging matters. Old Li's words of statecraft, Yuan Dao admires. Indeed, we must ascertain the truth first. The Lord's authority is of great importance. Old Li has a far-reaching vision, Su Ning admires. The others also reacted and nodded in agreement. Amid the praise from everyone, Li Tiancheng naturally remained composed, merely gesturing with his hand, and bowed towards Xia Chuan saying, "Minister, I have brought the only Golden Order prison warden of my department." After speaking, Li Tiancheng turned directly to motion behind him, immediately prompting someone at the back to step forward. Subordinate pays respects to minister, respects to all lords. The newcomer was nearly 40 years old, wearing a black and red summer clothes, with a black circular crown half a meter wide, and a golden token hanging at the waist. The side facing Xia Chuan bore the inscription of Prison Warden in large characters. Hu Ming, already 25 segments of strength, impressive. Xia Chuan's eyes brightened upon seeing the man in black. He had some impression of Hu Ming. When Great Xia first began expanding into Longyu and fought the first battle at the Beehive, the opponent was Hu Ming. Back then, Hu Ming possessed late-stage cold resistance cultivation with 8 segments of strength. Now, he had reached 25 segments, clearly showing impressive progress over the years. Hu Ming's expression revealed a slight surprise, evidently not expecting Xia Chuan to call out his name immediately. Xia Chuan could tell what he was thinking from his expression and smiled. "Your reputation is not small. I've heard of you many times from old Li, saying that in the prison department you solve significant cases repeatedly, and all unsolved cases you can unravel upon handling. Is that true?" Upon hearing this, Hu Ming was about to humbly respond. But before he could speak, others chimed in first. "I've heard too, among over 200 prison wardens under old Li, currently, only Hu Ming has been promoted to the Golden Order level, rare indeed. Previously, I heard at Long Mountain that wherever thorny murder cases arise, calling Hu Ming is sure to solve them. It's almost miraculous. Visited the prison department and learned that you've solved over 300 murder cases, nearly double that of the second rank. Though the prison department was established relatively recently, due to Xia Hong's special attention, its weight within the 8 departments is considerable. Li Tiancheng had divided the prison department into three major sections. The first section is the heavenly prison within Xia City, dedicated to confining criminals and serving rest time. The second suite is directly supervised by central headquarters with chiefs at each major post, precisely responsible for enforcing Xia law at their posts. The third suite specifically investigates and handles cases by prison wardens, classified into Iron Order, Silver Order, and Golden Order levels. As of now, Iron Order prison wardens work under the control of chiefs at major posts. After promotion to Silver Order, they qualify to become a chief of punishment. Currently, the chiefs of major posts in Great Xia are mostly Silver Order level prison wardens. Above that is the Golden Order level, currently with only Hu Ming present. Li Tiancheng set the promote criteria for prison wardens with extraordinary rigor. Besides high case resolution requirements, he also imposed upper limits on case overturning rates for each level: Golden Order capped at 1%, Silver Order at 3%, Iron Order at 5%. Exceeding these limits automatically demotes Golden and Silver Orders, while Iron Order tokens are recovered and start over from prison envoy. This renders the Golden Order prison warden exceptionally prestigious. Hu Ming was promoted early this year, which alarmed many, so not only Xia Chuan, but most high-level figures present knew him. Lords are too generous. Hu Ming merely handled a few more cases at camp. Valiant lords fighting for Great Xia, expanding territories, that is true skill.